and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn show on the internet, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around so we talk about our favorite things in the world: movies, movie news, TV, streaming, all sorts of good stuff. And guys, it's Monday. Welcome to the beginning of another week. And we are joined, of course, by Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing?
John, you know what? We had a very John Williams weekend.
We did, yes.
And it was good for the soul, I think.
It was good. We're going to talk about the John Williams concert in just a little bit. Sitting right beside Robert, of course, is Chris Carr is here. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I had a very Celine Dion-filled weekend with Taylor. It was awesome.
Wait, did you see Celine Dion?
No, I was Celine Dion, baby.
Oh,
karaoke.
Baby. Oh. God, I got all excited for a second.
No.
Not that the idea of you singing karaoke
I do a
isn't
really
exciting.
bad impression of her and yell thank you while beating my chest. So
She
it's
does.
Wow.
It's fun.
Hammer her chest a lot
Yeah,
when she sings,
she does.
doesn't her?
It's always
She's got
the thank you.
Sitting back here, guys, joining you in the live chat. For those of you here joining us live, Ray Ora is here today. Ray, how you doing?
What a beautiful day it is today. You know, last night. Last night
Ray.
was
Okay, Ray was drunk texting last night.
I wasn't. That was sober.
He was
Those are
drunk
sober, though?
live texting.
Those were sober.
Hardcore drunk live texting us watching House of the Dragon last night.
Because this is everything to me. This show means
Dude, I almost wiped out driving home
and
last
you've
night.
never seen Game of Thrones.
never. There is something about this show that is, and it's two things for sure. Damon and Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra, yeah.
Those two pieces on this chessboard, I got my attention on the whole show. Just because, like, it's I'm only worried about these two. They all these other things can move around, but I'm only worried about these two.
We'll talk
Yeah.
about House of the Dragon here in just a second. Also joining us, running the show today, producer Jonathan Voico. Jonathan, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Just recovering from the John Williams concert last night. Sorry I didn't get to say hi to you, Rob, but it was packed.
Oh, I thought we were all there on different days, because I know I was there on the Friday. You were there on the Sunday?
Sunday.
And both you
yeah.
guys went on Sunday?
Yeah.
It was packed.
Oh, yeah. Well, John Williams shows always pack out. It's such a great
I
time.
mean, even he was like taken aback. He was getting like, oh my God.
Well, I've never been there once when it wasn't packed. But it was
amazing.
It was a great show. Anyway, guys, and we are so glad that you are here joining us. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it into two parts. In the first half of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. And here's how you get a live comment or question on. It's easy. Number one, you got to be watching live. And then number two, when we get to the end of the main topics, we'll announce that we're opening up the super chats, and that will be your cue to start firing in your questions. And we'll read those off in the second half of this show that is brought to you by the way, in part by our friends over at Mint Mobile. Okay, guys. With all that down, let's get into a couple of off the tops here, shall we? And our first one is this. You know, I've been enjoying the She-Hulk show. I mean, there are things about it that don't work for me. I really don't like the lengths and stuff like that. I find it a little bit dissatisfying with the length, but the content I've been finding really entertaining and enjoyable, and I just like watching this show. Now, at the end of last week's episode, in the post-credit scene, they've been doing a post-credit scene with every episode, which I love, because a lot of times these Disney Plus shows, you think there's going to be post-credit and you sit through 8 minutes of credits and there's never a post-credit. They've done a post-credit for every single episode so far, and I'm loving it. And last week's took the cake. It was She-Hulk with Megan Thee Stallion dancing around the office and twerking in the office, and I just about fell out of my sofa. I was laughing so hard when it happened. I thought it was great. Now, they have released some behind-the-scenes images from this, where you actually see good Canadian kid Tatiana Maslany in the CGI suit. And I think if you actually scroll down there a bit, Jonathan, they'll have the tweet up there where you'll see there's some of the images, and you can just tell that Tatiana is having a blast. When you see the larger images of it, you just see her face. She is having an absolute ball, going crazy, going nuts. And I think like shots like this and seeing her in the CGI suit, it just adds to that whole thing for me. Now, here's the thing. I have heard some people ass whining about this scene, this post-credit scene. What the actual fuck is wrong with you people? And I say this as a fellow film-loving brother, and it's all subjective and everything, so I'm saying it in love. But what the fuck is wrong with you? That scene was amazing. It was hilarious. I laughed my fool ass off. I thought it was great. But here's the thing. It was great for this show. Like a lot of people saying, Well, I just don't get it. You have this happening in Endgame, and then all of a sudden we've gone to this great drama and everything in Endgame to twerking in an office. People don't seem to get that the MCU is not one thing. The MCU is a collection of things that they say happens to inhabit the same universe, but it's different things. Different shows and different movies have different tones, different genres and subgenres. They're all over the place. And listen, I get it. I do. Like if you were watching Infinity War, and it's like, I don't want to go, Mr. Stark. And then Cap's on his knees at the end going, after half the world is disappeared, it's like, oh God. If the camera then cut back to Black Widow going, yada, 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 yeah, that would be out of place. That wouldn't work.
Was that the script?
I would agree that that would
draft.
not be the right time or place for such a shot. If you're watching WandaVision and you get to the end and she's like in the book and hearing the names of her children and she jumps down and starts yada, 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 yada. Yeah, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't fit.
It's a real song, right? That sounds so familiar for some
It
reason.
is now.
It would not have been appropriate. It would have been jarring and it would have been completely out of place. I completely agree. But this is a fourth wall breaking satirical show comedy that, if you know the comics, is totally in tune with the comics, by the way. Now, there was never a scene in the comics where she twerked with Megan Thee Stallion.
She wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's totally in line with what the tone of the comics was. It was the appropriate place to do it. So I get it. I just see people go, well, I just can't imagine like, if in Captain America, the first Avenger, all of a sudden they had like some wild twerks. But this isn't Captain America.
You
the
don't
first
want to see
Avenger.
America's ass twerk?
Well, yes. I mean,
Come
actually,
on,
some people would
people.
pay good money for that.
Captain America went on a USO tour in Captain America: The First Avenger. Now they didn't spend a lot of time watching, Busby Berkeley musical numbers, but you think he didn't do a little song and dance man shtick on those USO tours? Of course he did.
Yeah, and so like for me, understanding the context of the show and where this scene happened, I stand by that. I think it's one of the top 5 best post-credit scenes I've ever seen because it was the right kind of scene in the right show at the right time that just made me burst out laughing. And if y'all didn't like it and appreciate it for that, screw y'all. I mean, you're still my brothers and sisters in film fandom, but screw y'all anyway. I thought it was great. And I love seeing them having this kind of fun with it. Anyway, Rob, you get to see now the behind the scenes of it. You see Tatiana Maslany like just ripping around the office. There's a video of it as well that we obviously can't show on the show. There's a video just having a ball. I know we're almost a week removed from it now. What do you think about these behind the scenes stuff, and what do you think about the scene?
First of all, the scene, well, like you said, is hilarious. Not only is the twerking hilarious, but then because Jennifer Walters thinks, oh yeah, now I've broed down with Megan Thee Stallion, we're buddies. And at the very last bit of the scene, Megan Thee Stallion's like, no. I mean, and I laughed at that too. Like, slow your roll, whatever. I mean, I don't understand. Like, we live in a very, on our planet at any one time, people are twerking and there's wars being fought. I mean, there's all kinds of things in the continuum of humanity that is happening simultaneously everywhere. And to see something like this was funny. And if something is very funny, this does not denigrate the reverence that we all have for She-Hulk. I mean, no, this was a very, very funny scene. And if it makes you laugh, I mean, you know what? If Megan Thee Stallion was in my office, I'd twerk with her. Wouldn't you?
No, God, that's going to be an image burned in my head all day. Thank you very much.
What I mean to say is, it's like we don't just have to be serious all the time.
And this again, like I said, if they had dropped this scene in Infinity War, I would have said that's dumb, it's jarring, it breaks the spirit of what's going on, but this is right for this show. Anyway, Chris, you get to see the Tatiana Maslany images now. You see her having a ball in the photos and the videos and all that kind of stuff.
She's so cute and tiny.
She is so tiny.
I love it so much. She's so pocket-sized. I think the big issue a lot of people are having, and I don't want to speak for anyone here, but I feel like this is the disconnect, is that we're kind of conditioned for the post-credits to be this big reveal of something where we get a little Easter egg of what's to come, how everything happened in the very first phase of the MCU. And that's not what we do all the time now. Because I know people have gotten mad before where it's like, oh, it's a gimmick with a cat, or it's just people hanging out, or it's just this. This is fun. I think it's fun. It's cute. I like it. And if you don't like it, that's okay. If you're not into twerking, no big deal.
Well, I mean, we do.
I almost feel like I need to stop you right now, but no, go ahead, please.
No, I mean, I was just to speak to that. If you really, Megan Thee Stallion now has a new lawyer.
Yeah.
So that's adding part of the narrative. I mean, she's going to have to expand her duties and not just represent superheroes or change the definition of superheroes, meaning Megan Thee Stallion can now be considered one under some umbrella that the legal firm,
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Some video and pictures of Tatiana Maslany with Megan Thee Stallion dancing around, clearly having an absolute ball doing that scene. I think the scene's fantastic in that show. Anyway, guys, what do you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. Okay, guys, with that down, let's do another off the top, and that is this. Speaking of the MCU, some of you may have heard that there is a new character coming to the MCU, and that is Deadpool. Now, how fast, how soon? Not sure. I would bet $5, though, Rob, that when you and I are at D23 this week, we are going to see Ryan Reynolds.
I agree.
He come out wearing a Wrexham shirt and jersey, whatever. I think
holding
he's
an aviation gin.
Holding an
calling
aviation
somebody
gin.
via his Mint Mobile plan.
Yeah, with his Mint Mobile phones.
The
like,
synergy
hello,
is strong with that
Wrexham?
one.
Yes, this is Ryan, your owner. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to come out. And I think they're probably going to talk about, they're going to announce Deadpool. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but I believe they're definitely going to come out and do that. But one of the questions that some people have been raising is, okay, we know Ryan is coming back as Deadpool. What about Morena Baccarin? Is she going to come back? Now, obviously, when you go back and look at the movies, you say, well, she died. Okay, but didn't they sort of, in a way, then kind of bring her back? I mean, isn't it possible that she could be? Well, anyway, Morena Baccarin was currently at a convention, Dragon Con in Atlanta, and she was asked about whether or not she'd be coming back for Deadpool 3, or if they're just going to take away the numbers and call it Deadpool Reborn or whatever they're going to do in it here. And this is what she said at Dragon Con when she was asked by. She said, from your lips to God's ears, I have no idea, she said. They're writing the Deadpool 3 script right now. I'm usually the last to find out about anything. I wish I had information that I could give you, but I really don't. But it would be great. I think when we shot the second film, Vanessa was supposed to just die, and then after they screened it a few times, they actually changed it to include this timeline thing to resurrect Vanessa. So I think that's a good sign that the fans want to see her again. Whether or not it happens, it's not up to me. So that's Morena Baccarin talking about the possibility of her character coming back. Do I think it is absolutely essential that they bring her back? No, I don't think it's absolutely essential. Would it be really beneficial? Yes. And the reason I'll say yes is this. Part of what made the first Deadpool movie so incredibly not just entertaining, but actually endearing was the thought that we had emotional connection to it as well. It wasn't just a raunchy F this, F that, National Women's Day kind of joke. There was actual emotional heart in it. It kind of grounded Deadpool in a way that made all the raunchy stuff even more fun and even more funny. And I would argue that part of the reason that the second film, which I love the second film, but I think for me, part of the reason why I don't think the second film is quite as good as the first one is that emotional anchor is kind of gone. I mean, you get it. He's heartbroken and distraught and all that kind of stuff, but having Vanessa there as that anchor, as that counter to all the other, like the wild stuff that goes on, and giving him his own real personal link to humanity is kind of what makes this character so great to me when he's on screen. So can they make it work without Vanessa? Absolutely they can't. They absolutely can't. But would they be giving themselves a real advantage if they brought her back? I think so. And I'll say this, Rob, I believe her when she says she doesn't know, but I think there's a 70% chance she comes back. Anyway, what do you think about her comments? Do you think it's important to bring her back? Essential, not essential? And what do you think the chances are that we do see her back?
Well, first of all, I thought that their romance within the context of these movies was actually refreshing. I think it was something that was unique to the Deadpool franchise. And I think that it added a lot to the character of Deadpool. And the fact that there was always real stakes. I mean, she was not a disposable female character. There was they had true love and emotion between them.
Yeah.
So I think that to these movies, and plus, who doesn't love Morena Baccarin? She's a great presence, and I would like to see her come back. I mean, I don't know how much sense it would make if she does come back, but I would like her to do so. And I think that it just adds to this franchise. It gives that franchise its uniqueness as opposed to being the third movie in yet another franchise, you know? So I like it. I like her coming back. I honestly don't think that she knows anything. I think she's actually being quite honest. But yeah, I mean, bring her back. I can't wait to see Deadpool 3. I think the first two movies are really good. So I'm just hoping that we get a third film that's in along the same lines as the first two.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, you're hearing her comments on this. Can they move on from the character now? Do they reincorporate her back in? What do you think the chances are, and what should they do?
I mean, they definitely can move on from her, but what was great about Vanessa is she did help ground a very eccentric, out there, fourth wall breaking character. You know, you've always talked about Tony and Pepper or Peter and Gwen.
Right.
This is a couple that I would put on that same echelon.
Yeah, this is the
because
best romance in comic book stories.
They
Yeah,
have
I absolutely believe
so
it.
much chemistry. They're so believable together, and their weird matches each other's weird, which is so fun. And I would love to have her back in here. Plus, we also had all those jokes already, not only the timeline issue, right, of coming back and maybe saving her, but when we had the shorts with Deadpool and Korg of explaining the term fridging in regards to Vanessa.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So I do feel like there's still room to bring her back in here because, as we know, too, in Marvel, no one is ever permadead when it comes to their characters.
Yeah. And the afterlife stuff that they did with her, too, in the second film was, again, every moment, it sounds weird to say with the type of raunchiness that Deadpool have, but there is a tenderness
Oh, absolutely.
in this that is so sweet and
Yep.
and I love the way you put it. Her weird matches his weird. Like the stereotype in a lot of this kind of stuff is the eccentric bag boy finds a woman that finally kind of understands him.
Yeah.
But no, she is as far out there as he is, and they were the perfect match. And I would like to see her come back. And let me ask you this, though. Let's stretch it out a little bit more. What are the chances that they bring back Negasonic, Colossus, and if they bring back Negasonic, I want to see, is it Yuki?
Is that her
Yeah.
boyfriend? Her girlfriend's
Oh
name?
my God, she's adorable.
so cute.
She's so cute. Hi, Wade. She's so adorable. Anyway, what are the chances you think they bring them back?
Well, I think they're kind of vital to the franchise now. I mean, they're as much a part of I think it would be really missed if they were gone. Especially, look, Colossus, as you've said many times, is great.
Oh, he's so good
He's
in
great.
Deadpool.
I mean, and all the characters are great. I mean, I would hate to see them make a movie without. To me, Negasonic Teenage Warhead is one of the highlights of the film.
Yeah. Well, and their dynamic is so fun, too.
It's so much fun.
Oh, every time he makes a Sinead O'Connor joke at her, I'm so
I mean,
happy.
by the way, the fight between Colossus and Juggernaut was one of my favorite parts of this. That was great. I think they've already established that Zazie Beetz is going to be coming back as Domino. I would be shocked if Josh Brolin doesn't come back as Cable.
Right.
I mean, what I don't want them to do, though, is make a team movie. Like, I
Yeah.
do want it to be as distinctly Deadpool film, but anyway, lots of time. I think we're going to find out more at D23 this weekend. Of course, we'll be there reporting from it as well. What do you guys think about it? Do you think we could see Vanessa return in the second one? Should we see Vanessa return? What about the other characters? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys, with that down, we're going to take a second here and thank one of the sponsors of today's video. I love these guys, the folks at DraftKings. Guys, we want to take a second and thank one of the sponsors of today's video, DraftKings. Now, guys, you know I am a huge sports fan. And football fans, the first Sunday of the NFL season is here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is giving new customers a can't-miss offer to celebrate the return of the NFL season. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. And as an added bonus for Week 1, everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. It's simple. Bet on an NFL team to win, and if your team leads by 10 at any point during the game, you get paid instantly even if your team goes on to lose. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code Campea to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet this Sunday. That's promo code Campea only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes for details. And thank you to our friends at DraftKings for being a new sponsor of the show. Remember, guys, sports betting online, stuff like that is like any other fun activity you do. Be smart, do it in moderation. It's like hot toys. It's great to get one or two, just don't let yourself go and suddenly buy 50.
Wait, what?
Whoa. Called out.
No, I'm just saying in
He
general.
needs 50 at one time.
At one time, yeah,
Right.
just be careful, pace it out, moderate yourself. Anyway, guys, with that down, let's go on to another off the top, and that is this. You know, we mentioned briefly off the top here that the three of us in this room, myself, Jonathan, Rob, we all went at different times to the John Williams, the Maestro of the Movies concert at the Hollywood Bowl. Now, this is a concert that John Williams, of course, the goat of goats when it comes to music in movies. He's done everything from the memorable scores of Jurassic Park, Jaws, Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, Superman, and of course, Star Wars. And he does a concert every year at the Hollywood Bowl. I have a feeling this was his last. I don't think we're going to see him again next year. He is
He
now
did
90.
say we were supposed to meet him there for his 100th.
Yeah, he said, we got to come back for my 100th birthday and do this again. But anyway, so I've been going for like 7 years in a row to this concert. I'm sure a bunch of people have been going to it longer than that. So, of course, he goes through, plays a lot of the classics from other films that he didn't even compose, but that he just loves. Bunch of music from his films. The Harry Potter section got a lot of people very excited when he did that. Of course, all of his Star Wars stuff people get excited about. But then he pulled a little bit of a surprise. And he basically mentioned, you know, I'm currently scoring Indiana Jones 5. And he's been working with Harrison Ford for a long time. And he said, last week, I played one of the pieces for our director, James Mangold, of course, the director of Logan, who is now directing this episode, this Indiana Jones 5. And he said, and James Mangold says to me, that's great. Play it at your Hollywood Bowl concert next week. He said, wait, but this movie doesn't come out forever. He goes, yeah, just go ahead, play it at the Hollywood Bowl next week. So John Williams says, here's your first look, or listen, if you will, to something from Indiana Jones 5, and they played Helena's theme, which is Bridge Waller's theme
Phoebe
character.
Waller-Bridge, yeah.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge thinks it's her theme, and he talks about the character a little bit. He said she's completely adventurous, but also classic Hollywood femme fatale and all this kind of stuff. And then he played the music. And I think, Jonathan, you were pointing out that in the music, you could hear a little bit of Marion's music in that too, just
I heard
little overtones of that.
overtones of it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which
For
I
sure.
think was really nice. Anyway, in years past, John Williams has resisted the temptation to play pieces from upcoming things that he had, but this was a really nice little treat to get that, and I enjoyed it, and the concert itself was amazing. Anyway, Rob, you were there. You got to hear him play this. Were you shocked to hear him do that, and what do you think about the piece?
Well, first of all, I wasn't shocked because people had been posting it before I went, so I knew that he was going to play it. But I thought it was beautiful. I mean, it was classic. It felt very sweeping and romantic. You know, it felt like something from his Sabrina score or something. And I really liked it. I mean, it really felt classic Hollywood. I mean, it was not an action cue or the Raiders March, which we got later, but it was. I just thought it was a beautiful piece of music and really lush. It really used the whole orchestra. And I'm like, this is the first indication we've had of any of this movie.
That is actually real.
Other than spy photos and you know, whatever. This is another movie where it seems like it's been in production for 10,000 years. And like you said, the tangibility of something. And the tone of this, I'll tell you something, it felt like it was, if this makes any sense, a piece of music for adults. You know, it wasn't some swashbuckling, even though they played Korngold's score from The Adventures of Robin Hood at the top of the program. I thought it was really great.
Yeah, I loved hearing it. Anyway, Chris, you know, you hear me doubt the existence of this thing. But
Yeah,
for
this has
them
been
to
your
actually-
Flash.
This is like, I've also been working on The Flash, but I can't play anything
I can't
for
play
you.
any of that music.
But I mean, what do you think about them coming out early and start dropping things like this for a movie that's still quite a ways out?
I mean, it's a big vote of confidence, right? To just give everyone that sneak peek, that sneak listen to. And I love that they did it for Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character too. We all know her so much from her work in comedy, right? Fleabag, things like that. But she's also had great turns on Broadchurch. So for her to play this femme fatale character, this classic like 1950s starlet kind of role, I'm really excited. And it is very romantic, beautiful music. The clip that's leaked online is really lovely.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was awesome being there and listening to it in person. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Have you had a chance to see the clip? What did you think about this piece from the master himself, John Williams? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with that down, it's time for us to move on to one of the new segments here on the show, our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. We have set up in cooperation with Mint Mobile, our very own hotline that if you've got a question for the show you'd like to have your actual voice on, you can call our hotline anytime at 951-268-4259. If you got a question for the show, go ahead, call that number, leave your message, and maybe you'll hear your voice here on the show. So, Jonathan, what is our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day today?
Hey, John and crew. My name is Anton, a longtime fan. The other day, my friend and I, who have been massive Top Gun fans for probably over 30 years now, and we were talking about how you don't think it's a good idea to do a sequel. We don't think it's a good idea either, but what if they did a prequel and told the story about Pete Mitchell's dad and Viper and how they, quote unquote, did do it right? Thanks.
All right. Thanks a lot for calling in, man. And yeah, look, the topic has come up a lot, especially with Top Gun just continuing to rake in money hand over fist. This weekend was no exception to that, with nothing else in theaters and it being, they had Cinema Day or $3 movies, but it's just it just became the 5th biggest domestic box office film of all time. I believe it just passed Black Panther at the domestic box office, not worldwide, I don't think, but it's just done great. So the question obviously keeps coming up. Are they going to do a sequel? Are they going to do a sequel? Now, I, on both fronts of could and should, don't think they will. I don't think they should. I think they literally had Pete flying off into the sunset. I mean, the whole movie felt like this is the wrap of his career. The whole movie felt like a button on the whole wrap of aviation fighter pilots in general. If you pay attention to the beginning of the movie, I don't think they should. On top of that, you've got him he's into his 60s now, Tom Cruise. He wouldn't be able to get around to even start looking at making a movie like this for at least another 3 or 4 years when you look at his schedule. And I don't think you can do one without Tom Cruise. I think that's what, not everybody, I think most people kind of feel that there's no point trying to do Top Gun without Tom Cruise. But what about a prequel? If you think back to the original Top Gun movie, as Tom Cruise is talking to Tom Skerritt, who played the captain, right? In there, and Tom Skerritt is telling him about what really happened to his dad and how they flew those jets, right? What about that story? What about Maverick Sr. and Viper, like doing that mission that we heard about? That could be interesting. I agree it could. But I don't think you can make a Top Gun movie about it. And for 2 reasons. One, the absence of Tom Cruise. There he is. There's Tom Skerritt in there. By the way, Michael Ironside in the background there. Love Michael Ironside. You couldn't have Tom Cruise in it, so I think that's a big knock on it right away. But the other thing is this. With the Top Gun movies, especially with Maverick, the die has been cast that we actually get in the planes and we fly them and we shoot aerial footage, and that's what we do. And they don't have those planes anymore. I just don't see how you could go back and do that. So while in theory, I think the idea, there's a story there to tell, but I really don't see them doing it, unfortunately. And Chris, do you think going back and doing a Top Gun prequel, maybe about Pete's dad, who was also a big pilot, do you think they could do it?
They could, but it's going to be a very different vibe because Duke does not meet a pleasant end.
Yeah.
He dies in Vietnam. And so you're not going to have that feel-good moment at the end where everything works out. We're doing sweet high five moves. Like that's not going to pan out. So it could be a very interesting story, but I think you're right. It's not a Top Gun feeling story. It's not about the Americans coming through, doing their thing, getting the job done. It's a much more harrowing tale about more of the atrocities that happened with war. And
Right.
Top Gun veers more to the Americana and the pride and respect that can come from doing a job well done.
Rob, what do you think?
Well, like you said, I do kind of like this idea, like doing a period piece about these jet fighter pilots in the Vietnam era, maybe begin with Korea and then work kind of like how For All Mankind goes a decade every season, and start when these fighter pilots were at the beginning of the dawn of their career and give us a bit of American history. But like you said, I don't think it could be a movie because they're not flying F-4 Phantoms anymore. And how do they do that? And also, it's a different... I mean, the thing about Top Gun that's built into it is the concept is that you have the world's best fighter pilots. So you can do these cool aerial maneuvers and everything without the context of having war. And then what Top Gun Maverick did so well is it's like, okay, it gives us Top Gun, and then it's like, and we're going to give you Star Wars at the same time. You
Yeah.
get the Death Star trench run. And the only difference between the proton torpedo, the exhaust port, and the place they have to attack in Top Gun is literally 1 meter. One is 2 meters, the other's 3. And it's still the same thing. I don't think you could get that from a especially when your protagonist dies, like you pointed out.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you make that a feel good movie?
It's an interesting, because if you were going to do it, I think that is the story to do. But yeah, for all those reasons and more, I don't think it's something they should probably do. But hey, you never know. We kind of gave up on the fact that they'd ever do another Top Gun movie
Very
at all.
true.
And here we are talking about. So questions for you guys. What do you think? Would you be interested in a Top Gun prequel? It would obviously have to be a very different kind of movie, and they'd have to make it very differently. But do you think something like that could work? Whatever you think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. And remember, guys, if you have a question that you'd like to see on our thing, once again, it's our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day, and just call the number 951-268-4259. Okay, guys. With that all down, let's now move into our main topics here today. And how do we select our main topics on the John Campea Show? Well, that's easy, and that's where you guys come in. You guys come up with our main topics. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Chris, what is our first main topic today?
Our first topic comes from Damon is the GOAT. Hi, John and crew. The newest episode of House of the Dragon is here. Patty Considine was amazing throughout, and Matt Smith at the end was just amazing work. Do I dare say that this show could be even better than Game of Thrones? Just 3 episodes in? What are your thoughts? And bring on the filthy.
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, we are going to right now speak in very non-spoilery terms about House of the Dragon episode 3. But just to let you guys know, a little bit later this afternoon at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will be doing our Game of Thrones House of the Dragon after show, where we will talk in full open spoiler glory and details, and we will be taking your questions and everything as well. So make sure, if you guys have watched the episode, come back and join us at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our House of the Dragon after show. But that said, I've been really impressed with this show through the first 2 episodes. And now we've gotten into episode 3, and I was wondering, are we going to start hitting a little bit of a downslide or a little bit of a slump? No slump. I thought this episode was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. And again, it focuses so much on character and the drama going on and the Game of Thrones constantly being played, and even meeting new characters. Chris and I were talking before the show, even new characters popping up are clearly playing the Game of Thrones. All at the same time, everybody's got an agenda. Everybody's doing their own machinations. Everybody's got an angle, and it just plays so damn well. I am loving the show. Paddy Considine as King Viserys rules. I mean, the way he plays this character is so great. A king who feels trapped on his own throne and like fighting battles even within his family, outside the pressures and all that kind of stuff, all while his physical health is ailing, all that kind of stuff. Rhys Ifans as Otto absolutely kills it as well. Again, fantastic. Matt Smith's Daemon character. The reason I love this character so much is because he is so layered. Like, on the one hand, he's a total jack-off. Like, he's just, there's no way around it. He's a total jack-off. But on the other hand, he's fiercely, even though he freaking hates his brother, he's fiercely loyal to his brother, all in this weird way at the same time. And totally loves his family while being totally pissy and mad and angry at his family. To the point that he does something in this episode, which we can't talk about, but we will discuss in the after show, that is just remarkable. I would have thought they would have done the actor switch out for Rhaenyra and Alicent this episode, but they did not. This episode picks up 2 years after the last episode. So they're moving. I mean, they're moving along pretty quickly and pretty well. They get into this big, one of the narrative kind of ideas, and one of the themes of it is, well, it's 2 years later. Rhaenyra's a young woman now. She's not a child. And therefore, being apparently in this world over the age of 14, time for you to start thinking about getting married. So that becomes kind of one of the subplots of it, but it plays out beautifully. They wind up finding ways to avoid common movie tropes about similar themes while doing some really interesting things at the same time. We get more into some action sequences as well. I'm just telling you, I'm watching. And by the way, I think Matt Smith, I think he had one line of dialogue in this episode. If I'm not mistaken, I think he has one line of dialogue. I might be off on that, but I don't remember more than one line. And yet his performance is incredible. Most of his screen time in this episode, he's not actually speaking, but he's incredible in it. So I got to tell you, now, as far as is it better than Great Game of Thrones, Rob, you pointed out to me a couple of weeks ago a very, very good point, which is, somebody, I did a Q&A and Ask Me Anything last night, and somebody also brought up, I think this show is better than Game of Thrones. And I said, well, here's the thing. You do have to keep in mind that this show has a very, very big advantage that the original Game of Thrones didn't have. And that's the original Game of Thrones. This show gets to come out knowing that the audience already knows this world. We know Westeros. We know the Iron Throne. We know a lot of the history. These are brand new characters inhabiting it, but it's the same story, right? And so this show is able to launch and come out and stand on the shoulders of Game of Thrones, which of course Game of Thrones had to come out and totally start from scratch. But I gotta say, this House of the Dragon show is killing me right now. I'm loving it. Anyway, Chris, you saw episode 3. What were your general thoughts on it?
Oh man, well, tough opening.
Yes.
Cool. But then we got through it. We got to so much familial drama and things. We got to see a bit more about how the other houses are coming into play here too. All these power grabs, how people are viewing Rhaenyra now. It's a really interesting episode. And all this stuff with Daemon was so fun. Because for a while, there was a moment where I was like, this isn't a particularly action-packed episode.
By the way, why does it look like he's about to have a rap battle? Like, why does it look like he's standing across from Eminem and he's about to get into a rap battle?
He's going to start yelling about all his mom's spaghetti. It's going to be great. But it was a really great episode. And the ending of that one, just the final 15 minutes of this episode were just so fun. I am surprised, and we'll talk more about in the spoilers, of what happened at the end. I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
As vague as I'll be.
Yeah, didn't see that coming. Hey, Rob, you had a chance to see episode 3. How are you liking the show so far, and what were your general thoughts on the third episode?
I thought this was the best episode so far. And what I love, in a way, it's kind of like Succession, HBO's Succession, in that part of the reason I think this show, like we said, you're building on Game of Thrones, but the focus of this show is much more narrow. With Game of Thrones, there's 10 different storylines that you were following all over Westeros, whether you were at the Wall, whether you were at Castle Black, whether you were at Winterfell, whether you were at King's Landing, wherever the hell you were, whether you were in Old Town, or, going to the Iron Bank in season 5, or you were everywhere. This has a very narrow focus on a family and a transitional period of time that's going to lead to this Targaryen civil war. And it's really fascinating because I really like, in spending more time with the characters, especially Viserys, watching his evolution in only 3 episodes has been quite extraordinary. And like you were pointing out earlier, we learn things about him as a person, as a man, as a king, that make him an incredibly both sympathetic. You really feel for him. Like, he's not, even though he's in a king, you still understand his motivations and like what pressures he's facing. And it really makes for some tremendous drama. And I love the fact that all of these characters, I like them more and more in each episode, because you really understand where they're coming from. And right now, the heart of this show has been, I think, the relationship with Rhaenyra and her father. Mm-hmm. And it's a relationship that's fracturing, and it's going to be fracturing because of the pressures of, you're fighting against, a father is fighting against a love for his daughter, but also his realm and what he has to do in terms of tradition and things that are done and things that just aren't done yet. There's a moment when Rhaenyra makes a huge statement without saying a word.
Yes. I know.
She just rolls in.
Yep.
She just rolls in, and you'll see why.
Yep.
And she's like, "You little bitches, you don't think a woman can rule this kingdom?" And she doesn't say a word, but she makes a statement.
Yep.
And I love that. And I thought that was, it's a really satisfying show, John. And I only see it getting better. And for those people, there's a single shot in this movie. Everyone knows there's a battle in it because there's articles, but there's a single shot in this battle that I thought was extraordinary. And I'd never seen a shot like this in Game of Thrones, where you're basically a close-up. It's all like a 50-50 shot. The camera's panning with these guys running.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the people
yeah.
that they're running at. And literally a clash, and I was like, wow, just the one only Game of Thrones can deliver that kind of thing. And that shot made me gasp. And it's a quick shot. Most people might not notice it, but I watched it and was like, that's not easy to do.
You know, we were talking before the show started today because, you know, fair or unfair, we're obviously going to draw comparisons, not so much between House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. We're going to probably draw some comparisons between House of the Dragon and Rings of Power, which is playing right now. And like right now, I got to see, and I mean, listen, I think we're in for a bunch of episodes. I think both these shows are probably going to end up being great, but right now I got to say, while Rings of Power has been my number one most anticipated show for a very long time, right now House of the Dragon has the edge over Rings of Power as far as like watchability and stuff. But I will say this. I was telling Rob this before the show started today. I got home and I had about an hour or so to kill before the new episodes of House of the Dragon dropped. So I decided, I'm going to rewatch episode 2 of Rings of Power. And you guys will remember, I watched episode 1 and 2 back to back in a theater like most people, and I really didn't like episode 1. Like, I think I made that pretty clear. And I knew that episode 2 was a big improvement. Episode 2 was a much better episode than episode 1 was. But I rewatched episode 2, and I wonder if I was so sour at how disappointed I was with episode 1 of Rings of Power that it kind of affected my enjoyment of episode 2. Because when I sat down and just watched episode 2 again yesterday, episode 2 of Rings of Power, I'm like, no, this episode is fucking awesome. This episode is great. And I really, really liked it. Again, I still think House of the Dragon is in the lead right now as far as overall quality of the show. But I hope this becomes really like not a 2-horse race, but I hope we get to see 2 shooting stars that when this is all done, we'll celebrate that this was the time. But we'll see. Right now, House of the Dragon is the better show, though. And episode 3 just kind of drove that home. I thought it was great. Question is for you guys. What did you think of the 3rd episode of Game of Thrones House of the Dragon? And don't forget, later today at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will be doing our Game of Thrones House of the Dragon after show. So make sure you guys come and join us for that. All right, guys. With that down, let's take a second and hear from another sponsor of today's show, our friends at Athletic Greens. Hey guys, we want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, Athletic Greens. Now, I started taking Athletic Greens because I don't eat enough vegetables, and I was looking for a way to make up for that deficit in my diet of those vitamins and minerals that I really need in my system, and thank goodness I found Athletic Greens, and I literally take it every morning. You see, with 1 scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods, source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, all the things. And my wife got onto it, and now she absolutely loves it. You know, tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb, like Athletic Greens. So right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season. It's just 1 scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Campea. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Campea to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And thank you to our friends at Athletic Greens for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. I actually had my daily dose of it this morning.
Yay!
All right. With that down, guys, yay! Let's move on to main topic number 2. Chris, what is our second main topic today?
I get genuinely concerned that you're not getting enough vegetables, so I really appreciate it.
No, I really don't. That's why I got to take
No
this
scurvy
stuff.
for John.
From Brenton K. Hey, John and crew. So Darren Aronofsky's The Whale debuted yesterday at the Venice Film Festival, where it received a 6-minute standing ovation. Many critics are saying that Brendan Fraser is now considered to be a frontrunner for Best Actor at the Academy Awards. Do you think Brendan Fraser has a good chance of winning with all these rave reviews? Thanks.
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Brenton. And listen, is there another guy in Hollywood right now that more people would root for than Brendan Fraser?
I love him so much.
I love Brendan Fraser.
George of the Jungle, George of my heart.
School ties.
School Ties. I mean, listen, the guy's great and wonderful, one of the most pleasant human beings around. And of course, we won't go into it now, but obviously there was some drama that took him away and things like that. Seeking out, I have loved him in Doom Patrol. Absolutely loved, even when 90% of him in Doom Patrol is just his voice. I love him in that. Of course, we were going to see him in Batgirl.
Womp womp.
The what everybody coming out at screening calls just a really expensive CW show that, unfortunately they had to cancel. So we're not going to see him in that. But he had this film coming out that we've all been talking about called The Whale with Darren Aronofsky. And it sounded like it could be a really meaty role for him. Well, like the person who wrote in said, they've now debuted the film at the Venice Film Festival. And it ain't just talk. There's video of it. A 6-minute standing ovation that literally had Brendan Fraser breaking down in tears as it was going on. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety who wrote the following. If the Sunday night world premiere of The Whale at the Venice Film Festival is any indication, Brendan Fraser's return to Hollywood will be met with plenty of cheers and even more tears. When the credits rolled on the Darren Aronofsky drama, in which Brendan Fraser plays a 600-pound man confined to a wheelchair, the actor was overcome with emotion. Fraser sobbed throughout the 6-minute standing ovation, which will likely put him at the forefront of this year's Best Actor race. And that again comes to us from Variety. When you understand and think about the actual story of Brendan Fraser and what he has gone through, and even as the type of actor he's been viewed as a lot, there's something I kind of break down at when I see somebody so overwhelmed with happiness that they cry. That just gets to me. That just always gets to me. It always does, whether it's in sports or whatever, seeing somebody so legitimately overwhelmed with joy and happiness that they cannot help but sob and weep. That is moving to me. And I was watching this video footage of him going through that. And listen, the story sounds amazing. This guy who leaves his family and now he's like this 600-pound recluse and he's trying to patch things with his daughter. And like, that just sounds like a rich, meaty role, right? And for him to get that role, to be with an actor like a Darren Aronofsky and to have a reception like this. Now, we have often heard in July, August, September, who the new front runner of a certain Oscar is. And then sometimes those people don't even get nominated because there's still a lot of movies to come. But if he could snag an Oscar nomination this year, that would be so beautiful and wonderful. And by the way, I hear like at the end of Whale, he jumps up, happy ending, jumps up out of the wheelchair and goes, yada, 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 yada. It's fantastic. I hear it's wonderful. Brought the house down. Everybody had a blast. So anyway, I think this is a beautiful story. I love hearing it. Rob, you hear about this. Do you think Fraser could? I mean, it's hard to say too because we haven't seen the movie. Right. We can't say that he's going to get, but I mean, just from what we're hearing, what do you think about the raves?
Well, I mean, look, there's actual video of him. You know, he kind of is getting up and kind of walking down, and then he turns back to the theater full of people just cheering, and it is really moving. And I think, you know, there is no whether you're in Venice or whether you're at Cannes, these audiences are so appreciative of the art of cinema that when you do get this kind of a rousing response, it's quite meaningful. And for making movies, I mean, you know, when you go to festivals or people clap and everything, but to get a long, extended applause like that, it is meaningful. When you're in a theater like that and it's the thunderous applause goes on and on and on, it's really, really overwhelming. And here's a guy, I mean, he's been making movies for the better part of 40 years, you know, and he's had ups and downs. He had his big franchise with The Mummy. He was making, didn't he make like George of the Jungle and yeah, and he's
Leslie Mann.
Yeah, and he's done so many different things. Then he left the business and then he came back. And to see him have, I mean, Darren Aronofsky's a world-class filmmaker. Yeah. And to see him come back and have a real meaty role in a movie like this, where he's playing, you know, couldn't have been an easy role to play either. That's tough. And to have him have this, good for him, man. I mean, I love this kind of a story.
Chris, you hear about this. What are your thoughts?
I'm so happy about it. I love him so much. I think he's such a wonderful actor. I've missed him. I mean, I loved, what was that one where he's in a bunker, Blast from the Past?
Oh, yeah.
Silverstone. I was a huge fan of him.
I mean, Look at that. Look at that. It's amazing.
Oh, well, and this role, I mean, like you guys said, we haven't seen the movie, so we can't really weigh in on a performance that we haven't seen. But it does tick those kind of stereotypical boxes for what gets nominated, right? The type of role we're playing, the use of prosthetics, the tone of this film, the director and writer behind it, it all makes sense for this being a very big prestige push. So I'm interested to watch it and see how this all actually plays out.
I think the question, like when you get a response like that, the question obviously that everybody's asking is, can this lead to Encino Man 2? I mean, that's I think
I can only hope.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everybody, like Pauly Shore right now is like, yeah, let's get this thing done. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you
It's
think
the week, sir.
about the response that The Whale is getting in Venice and all the raves that Brendan Fraser is getting for it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. Chris, what is our third main topic today?
This comes from Edison Wright. Good day, John and team. I wanted to write in and ask just how happy you are with Arcane winning Best Animated Series at the Emmys. I know you've said you think Arcane is your favorite animated series of all time. It beat out Marvel's What If, Rick and Morty, and The Simpsons. Do you think this is just the first of many? I feel like it could be the animated answer to Game of Thrones. What do you think?
Thanks a lot for writing that in, Edson. I don't even know what to say about Arcane. Like, again, it is one of these shows, these pleasant surprise things where I had no interest in watching it. It's, a thing based on a video game. It's going to be trash. It's just going to be something to kind of pander to the people who play the video game. It's not going to be anything really good. Then I heard a couple of people say, John, I think you might want to watch this. And so, all right, I sat down, and right from the first episode, I was floored. And by the time the final episode ended, I remember saying to myself, this is the best animated show I have ever seen. I'm not saying it's the best animated thing, like if you take movies into account, I'm not saying that. But as far as animated series go, I don't think anything has ever come out that was this high quality. Visually, it has a very interesting, fun, dynamic look to it, yes, but it's the story. And the way you put it, Edson, is exactly on the nose. It's a very Game of Thrones kind of feel to it. The intrigue going on with everything, like even right up to when, the one girl's mother, the warrior queen, shows up, and it's like this, and then they go deep into her character, and like everybody, and like Victor has this incredible subplot going on, and like all of them have all this incredible stuff going on in this incredibly imaginative world. Well, anyway, this comes to us from the folks over at Deadline, who write the following. Call it the third time's lucky. Netflix has finally won Best Animated Program at the Emmys, with Arcane picking up the award at the Creative Arts ceremony. It marks the first time that a streaming show has picked up the award. It beat Bob's Burgers, Rick and Morty, The Simpsons, and Chadwick Boseman's voiced What If in the hotly contested category. Other streaming contenders in the past have included Netflix's Big Mouth and BoJack Horseman. Arcane co-creator Christian Link picked up the award. Thank you. It's a big deal for us as we come from video games. It's been amazing to see the world embrace our characters and our stories. So thanks to Netflix, who believed in us from the beginning. I will tell you this, like some people will say, well, it was kind of a no-brainer that Arcane was going to win this. And I think that's far from the truth. Like, I really believe that this is going to be one of those shows that was going to go unnoticed. But I'm really thrilled to see that it get. Now, granted, I get it. It won the award against The Simpsons, What If, and Rick and Morty, and Bob's Burgers. Okay, this wasn't in competition against Yellowstone or Succession. I get it, but it's still nice to see every once in a while, and it's all subjective. But from my subjective point of view, it's always nice to see the right show win. And to me, this is the right show. And I'll tell you what. If they can get this thing off the ground for season 2 and if Netflix allows it to have a season 3 or 4, this can become a legacy show. I believe that. I believe this could be like Game of Thrones in the sense that every year at the Emmys, you might as well just start filling out the winner is Game of Thrones, the winner is Game of Thrones. You might as well just start filling out the winner is Arcane, because I think it's got that kind of quality. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this? Did the right show win? And what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, like you, I turned the show on for the first time. And obviously, I was working on Dota Dragon's Blood, which is more traditional animation.
But you can stream right now.
Along on Netflix. Also based on a video game. But when I turned this on, there's a little healthy competition. But it's clear from the first episode, like you said, this is an incredible animated series. I mean, you're captivated in the first few moments to watch this. The animation, the style of it is so different, and it's so absorbing, and you're so drawn in. And it is an outstanding. It's not just, if this was a live action show, it would be outstanding. I mean, this is an
expensive outstanding show.
very expensive. But this is a truly triumphant work of animation, and it looks different than anything on TV. I really love this show, John, and I don't know if I would say it's my favorite animated series of all time, but it's an incredible animated series, and they deserve all of the accolades that they're getting. And I hope that it makes Netflix, they sort of cut back on their animation. I hope maybe they'll move forward with more stuff like this.
Tell you, Jonathan just a minute ago had an image of Jinx up, who, I mean, a lot of people refer to her as the perfect mixture of Harley Quinn and the Joker into one. But what makes that character so great is the heartbreak nature of that character. Mm-hmm. Her story is a story of tragedy.
Yeah.
And when you go back to watch the first couple episodes, they lay that groundwork that your heart just breaks for her and her older sister. Oh, it's just so good. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this. What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I love this so much. Well, and Netflix really has become the place for animation, though. I mean, they are constantly putting out really, really high caliber stuff. The work they had with Klaus, which is one of the most stunning animated things ever. The work they have here, all the DreamWorks properties they're bringing into play, their work they did for Voltron. This is where animation is going to go, and I hope more creators bring their properties to Netflix, and that Netflix keeps welcoming in animation. I really, really love what our friend Edison says here, though, about could this be the equivalent of Game of Thrones, or the answer to Game of Thrones in animated format? Yes, it could. And I'm glad you used those terms, because medium and genre does not determine merit. And that is something that animation faces constantly. You've talked about this with the Best Animated Film Award, right? I kind of feel the same way when it comes to all these other awards with Emmys and things too. I think Arcane is on caliber with some other shows out there. I mean, maybe, is it a Succession? Maybe not. But I think we need to start viewing these things for what they are. Quality storytelling properties, not just animated films, and treating animation like it's a lesser thing, because it's not. There's really, really great creative work happening here, and really bold, exciting stories are being told. And this is the kind of stuff that most people want to be seeing. People who are doing casting out of Blizzard, I know that's video games, but Andrea Toyas is always talking about how she wants you to sound like a Game of Thrones character, and that's the caliber of acting she wants from you. So that's really, really exciting to me to see shows like this that are delivering that kind of caliber.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I'm very happy about it, obviously. Arcane wins the Emmy for Best Animated Show. I kind of think it should be in the running for Best Show, period. But it is what it is. What do you guys think? Have you watched Arcane? Do you love it? Maybe it's not the show for you. Whatever your thoughts are, jump into the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. Okay, guys. With that down, we're going to hear now from another sponsor of today's show, our friend, I use them all the time, our friends at Storyblocks. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, Storyblocks. Guys, I have been an enthusiastic fan and user of Storyblocks for years. I go to them whenever I'm in need of content creation assets like royalty-free music, video clips, or templates for my creative projects, ranging anywhere from little editorial videos to my very own full-feature documentary. Storyblocks helps you bring your stories, videos, and projects to life without sacrifices due to time, budget, or access to resources. They have over 1 million different story assets ranging from stock videos, audio and music, an in-browser video editor, and they feature pre-designed templates, animations, and outros. Storyblocks uses an affordable subscription model, and their unlimited access plans offers, unlimited video and audio downloads rather than a costly pay-per-clip model. With Storyblocks, you'll be able to create more content and, more importantly, better content, all while using a subscription plan that fits your budget, utilizing unlimited downloads of demand-driven and diverse content. So if you're interested in upping your content creation game, head over to www.storyblocks.com/Campea and get started today. That's www.storyblocks.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Storyblocks for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to main topic number 4. Chris, what is our 4th main topic today?
This comes from Trevor Giles. I love Spider-Man No Way Home, so I went to see the re-release this weekend, and I was surprised to see how many people were in the theater. And I was even more surprised to see that it took number 1 at the box office again, making over $6 million this weekend. Are you surprised the movie took number one at the box office again? And do you think this result could inspire Disney and other studios to look at doing re-releases of their films shortly after they were in theaters? Thanks.
All right, Trevor, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, so Spider-Man, what are they calling it? The more fun
Fun stuff.
More fun stuff cut. They re-released it this weekend in theaters, which I'm sure theaters were very, very happy about because the studios aren't putting out anything right now that audiences want to see. And in conjunction with the fact that they had Cinema Day on Saturday with $3 movie tickets that got a bunch of people to go to theaters. And yeah, listen, I'll be honest with you. If you had asked me 2 or 3 weeks ago, how much money do I see this Spider-Man film, which was out less than a year ago, how much money can this make at the box office this weekend? I probably said $1 to maybe $2 million. It made almost $6 million. Now, it should be pointed out right now that some readjustments in the figures, the actual numbers are coming out. Now, this is how it traditionally works, or always works, I should say, that the box office reporting works. On Sunday, the box office estimates come out. The box office estimates come out that are usually like 90% right on the money. Sometimes they're off by $1 million. And then what happens is because they are able to take the numbers from Friday and Saturday, and then they're able to project what Sunday will be, and they put out the box office report on Sunday. Now, then Monday, what's called the actuals come out, which is when they actually have the final numbers. And it's like 90% of the time it's bang on what the estimates were. Sometimes it's off by $1 or $2 million. Well, when the estimates came out, you guys will notice in the headline of the story today is that Spider-Man took number one at the box office. Obviously, that's what Trevor wrote in, that took number one at the box office. Well, now that the actuals are coming out, they're actually saying it may not have. Now, the official box office report still currently right now reads that over the regular weekend, not the long weekend, but over the regular weekend, Spider-Man No Way Home was number one with $6 million. Top Gun Maverick was number two with 5.5, and DC League of Super Pets was third with 5.45. So very, very close, the top three. Now some reports are coming out saying that the actuals are actually reflecting that Spider-Man made a little bit less than they thought. Like instead of 6, it made like 5.9 or something. And Top Gun Maverick made a little bit more than they thought it did, and it made 6. So whatever, we'll have to get around that in a second. But the story right now is that a movie getting re-released less than a year later that I thought maybe would have made $1 or $2 million actually made around $6 million. This is free money. This is a movie they already made. It's just, and it's still sitting in the front seat of their car. They haven't even taken it out of the car yet. The hard drive was still right there. It's like, oh, just slide it back in and make another $6 million.
So she said.
Jonathan.
I'm glad I didn't say it.
It was a fantastic ventriloquism act.
How do I recover from that? So yes, just free printed money. It's impressive, and I think it speaks a lot to the fact of how much fun people had with this movie. Remember, this was the first true mega hit coming out of the pandemic. It was the first true mega hit, and I think part of that, and that's part of the reason why there was so much euphoria surrounding it, like getting back into the movie theaters again, having such a good time watching something like this. And of course, just the nature of the movie with Toby and Andrew coming back and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was all that. And I think this result, making $6 million or close to $6 million with a movie that was just out in theaters and is now on streaming.
Right.
I think it speaks volumes about the movie. Now, the more interesting question could come up with, will this further embolden Marvel, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Universal, whoever, to maybe want to look at this again? Because who couldn't use an extra $5 or $6 million in your pocket?
I could.
I mean, again, for nothing, for work you already did. It's literally recycling. They literally are just recycling this. Now, it's one thing to do that with movies that were out years ago, and now we get to go revisit. But this was literally just out. I worry that it will. However, there are a couple things, caveats to take into effect here. Number one, it did come out on the weekend that they did Cinema Day when it was $3 movie tickets. Number two, there is literally no competition right now. The only thing that it's in competition with is something like Top Gun, which is in like its 15th week. So Top Gun wasn't going to be making $25 million or anything like that. DC Super Pets wasn't going to be making $25 million. So it doesn't really have any legitimate competition. So yeah, you do have to take all those caveats into consideration. Granted, it's still an impressive result.
Oh, yeah.
That I'm glad to see. Anyway, Rob, you see this thing, whether it's number 1 or number 2 at the box office, we're going to have to see as the news shakes out here. But regardless of that, the money that Spider-Man just made, that had just been in theater not so long ago, what's your takeaway from it? What does it say to you?
Well, one, I think people like to see movies in movie theaters. You know, I think even though everyone's seen this movie, I know more fun stuff, and it had a different end tag, and it was about, you know, like 8 or 9 minutes longer or something. If they give us more Toby and Andrew and Tom together, which I guess they did, I think that's reason enough to roll out and see this movie again. This is a beloved film. People love this movie. I love the fact that it proves that even re-releases for movies are viable. Like you said, it's free work, it's free money. And, you know, Disney's bread and butter up through the 80s, up until they did Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, they made all their money theatrically by re-releasing their classic films all the way back to Snow White. You know, so
When they would come out of the vault.
The Disney
they'd
vault.
come out of the
was
vault,
so
they'd show these
exciting.
movies. And as a kid growing up, I remember my mom took me to every single Disney re-release. It was something that you did as kids. And then I think this is really kind of cool to see. And the fact that we've had E.T. was in theaters last week, Jaws is in theaters this week.
And sold out theaters for Jaws.
Sold out theaters.
Yeah.
I mean, and people were going. You know, these classic movies, you can watch. I mean, Jaws came out in 1975. You know, and people rolled out to see it. Apparently, the 3D is terrific. They go out and see it in IMAX in a format they've never seen it in, and audiences are excited. I'm not saying that this should be par for the course, but when you re-release a movie that's only a year old, like Spider-Man: No Way Home, and it makes $6 million, you know who won this weekend? Were the theater owners.
Yeah.
Because man, they were hurting for product, and the theaters. Kudos to Disney for delivering something. They're like, well, we don't have a Marvel movie to release, but here's something. Or Sony, actually, we don't have a big movie to release, but here's something. I mean, I think they must have been thinking about theater owners, or maybe they just want to goose the numbers before Avatar.
Well, either way, I
comes
mean,
out.
Sony just looked at what a massive triumph the re-release of Morbius was, and said, you know, well, we got to do that again.
It's Morbin time.
No, you know, you still have to have a good movie.
Yes, you do.
Gotta have
Yeah,
a
at
good
the end of the
movie.
day, that's what you got to. Chris, as we look at this situation, there's a lot of moving pieces here, but what's your biggest takeaway from this?
I mean, it was 112 in the valley. Of course, people went to movie theaters. It was Satan's butthole out here. It was so
For those who
hot.
don't know, here in Southern California,
It's disgusting.
it has been ripping hot. And for my Canadian sensibilities, it ain't good. People wondered why I did my quick reaction of Game of Thrones from my pool last night. That's why. Anyway.
This is the first time since college that I've had central air. And I've just been like, yes. Oh, it's been so glorious. It shows to me that people, like Rob was saying, people want to see movies in movie theaters, but also this was so beloved. This is the movie that got us all back out to theaters for the most part. Before Top Gun got the over 40s in, right? Everyone was going to see Spider-Man. And I went and saw this like 3 times in theaters the first time. I love this movie so much, and seeing it at home is great. Is not like seeing it on a big screen. Not all of us have our lovely theater dens, you know? Some of us have our sad little TV in our living room, and I want to see all 3 Spider-Men up on a huge screen. So I can understand why people came back to this. Am I surprised that it did this well? Oh, absolutely. I went into this on Friday being like, well, it's $3 tickets, so I don't think it's going to make that much money. So
Yeah.
egg on my face, but
That's another
good job.
consideration to take. I mean, ticket prices at $3.
Yeah.
I mean, if everybody was paying
if
full
they were
price,
$15 tickets,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about a movie that made $20 to $30 million.
That is a
Although, would as
huge
many
feat.
people have gone if the
That's
tickets
true.
would have been more
That's true,
expensive?
too.
Right?
I mean, I have to say, John, I went and got some Mexican food. It was right next to a theater where I live, and that parking lot.
What's your address? Tell
I'm
the
not
people.
telling you. I'm
no?
not going to tell the people
Okay.
my address. But the parking lot was jammed, and this was one of those dine-in theaters. It was packed, and I saw families coming in and out of that theater. So it was really cool to see that healthy, robust business.
For sure.
And a lot of it was for this.
Well, and like Rob was saying too, theaters need films for us to go to
They need
them.
product.
They need something, and especially when you're looking at what's happening with Regal and everything right now. I want to go see movies. I want to go to theaters. I want to go support them. So the more they can do things like this of getting me into a theater with a little extra footage or a fun re-release or something like that, I'm happy about it.
And you bring up something else too, and I know this is a common refrain here on the show, but especially when a movie that's then come out on home video and you've seen it on home video, and then you go back to theaters to see it again. Nothing replaces the theater going experience. Like I remember I watched recently, we sat down and watched Top Gun at home. And it was Maverick, I mean. And again, it's still great. But what really stood out to me was the scene with Iceman, with Val Kilmer. It plays very well, even at home. At home, it plays very well. But when you're in a movie theater and Val Kilmer comes on screen and they say one of the best lines of the year, it's like, so who's the better pilot, you or me? This is a nice moment. Let's not ruin it. Like one of the best lines in a movie this year. But being in a theater with hundreds of other people and you all feel the emotion coming off of each other in the theater.
Yeah.
Like everything about watching a movie in a real movie theater elevates the experience. It just does. And like talking about Spider-Man, yeah, it's great. Like when the portal opens and you see Toby or Andrew, right? I mean, that's all great. But when you're in a theater with hundreds of other people and that excitement, that electricity goes through everybody in the theater together, it heightens it.
When you have a shared emotional experience
Yes.
with a complete stranger, that's what I mean. We make fun of the Nicole Kidman ad to death, but it's all true. When there she is,
Why was Jonathan so ready with that
I'm
one?
ready for you,
That
my
was
queen.
quick.
We're gonna get another one.
the
Yes.
loops. But I mean, when we have the scene with Aunt May and you have everyone in that theater just all, and she says the version of with great power, and
Yeah.
you're like, and everyone, you know that like this person down the row who you've never spoken to in your life is having the same emotional journey as you, and you are on a completely different path in life than them. That's what's amazing about movies, and you don't get that in your living room.
Nope.
I agree. All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Spider-Man No Way Home, less than a year out of theaters, comes back in, makes about $6 million in a simple re-release. Obviously, a few caveats to that, but still pretty impressive. What do you think? Were you one of the many people who went out to go check it out again? Do you think this could inspire other theaters or Disney even more to start re-releasing more things? Or is it just a sign of the times that there's nothing going into theaters right now until Black Panther comes out? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with all that down, it's time for us to move in and start taking your live questions. So we are now going to open up the super chats. Now, remember, we only leave the super chats open for a couple of minutes. So hopefully you got your questions or comments ready. Try to limit the whole multi-part question thing because that gets very difficult for us. But before we get to those, guys, we want to take a second and thank the sponsor of today's show. They're great partners of ours here at the John Campea Show, our friends over at Mint Mobile. We want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of the retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. And guys, I have been using Mint Mobile for months now, and I could not be more thrilled with the service. I also couldn't be more thrilled with the fact that my phone bill now is literally 1/3 of what it used to be with my previous major carrier. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to Ryan Reynolds, Aviation Gin, and of course our friends at Mint Mobile, number one, for being my favorite phone providing service that I've ever had, and for being a sponsor of this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys. With that down, let's get on to your questions, shall we? We're going to start, of course, with our beloved channel members. And by the way, to our channel members, just to let you guys know, tomorrow, Tuesday at 3 p.m., we are going to be having a channel members town hall meeting. That's where I talk about all the stuff going on with the channel, whatever, with you guys, our channel members. So make sure you guys join us for that. All right, Ray, what are our channel members saying?
All right, CJ Rebirth writes, I still wish Turning Red got a full theater release. Saw it at El Capitan opening night and everyone loved it. Hopefully it gets an Oscar nomination / possible win.
It absolutely should. It's a wonderful film. It's like that Also thought Bruno was very. What was it called? No, it's not. What's it called? Bruno. It was called. What's the other one they put out? He becomes a fish.
Luca.
Luca, not
yeah.
Bruno. Yeah, we don't talk about Bruno.
No, that's
right.
okay.
Luca was also very nice. It was very nice, but this one was it was a special movie, man. I thought it was absolutely wonderful, and yeah, it absolutely should have gotten a theatrical release. All right, what's next?
All right, J Master writes, Chadwick Boseman was honored for winning the Emmy for the best voiceover work of T'Challa Star-Lord in Marvel What If series.
Yeah, so that was a part of the awards too last night. We probably should have made that off the top as well, but
yeah.
I mean, like beautiful to see, and of course, this long after his passing now, because it's. Somebody brought up how long it's been since he died. I'm like, really? Has it been that long? But yeah, it's especially nice to see that. All right, what's next?
Future Millionaire writes, Happy Labor Day, guys. I'll catch the episode tomorrow while at work to keep me company.
Well, I'm glad you're going to catch up with us, even if it's after the fact, man. I hope you have a good day at work, dude. All right, what's next?
Christopher Mendez writes, what are the odds that Chris Carr reprises her award-winning performance in a new eHarmony commercial? It's
totally
not what the
forgot
world
that you're in an
wants, it's
eHarmony
what the world
commercial.
needs.
Oh, it is what the world needs. I was the eHarmony girl, but now they go with like hot models doing yoga, being like, why don't I have a boyfriend? It's so hard for me. And that's not my brand.
You know what's I don't know if I ever brought this up. There are dating sites for everything right now. Like Jewish 45 to 47-year-old knitters.
Farmers only.
But farmers only. I just got to say something about farmers only. This is the thing that really, really kills me about farmers only. So, and they advertise a lot in Canada. A lot of farmers in Canada, in certain provinces. But this is the thing that always killed me about farmers only and their ads. Their ads always had the fuggliest, snaggletooth, dopey men like in them, that it was like, I guess the underlying subtext was, hey guys, you may think you're not a catch, but look at these guys who are using, farmers only. And it's like, well, what are you doing tonight, Urkel? Well, I've got a date tonight. What? You got a date? And it's like these stupid looking, whatever, acting like idiots and showing like, yeah, and these holds up his phone and it's like some stunningly hot brunette girl with a plaid shirt on and a farmer's something in her hand, right? And here's the thing. The reason that it just made me roll my eyes is because if you're a woman watching these farmer-only dating app ads, why would you be remotely enticed to sign up if this is the standard?
What if the snaggletooth is her kink? What if she just is like, he has a real nice personality? What if she just wants to expand her farming?
And what kind of checks do they do to actually see if you're
If you're an actual farmer?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is there
I
like a
don't know.
card that you get if you own a
Oh,
farm?
wait a minute.
Check if you got any hose.
This. What's with you today?
It's just a Monday. Just
I
a
mean,
Monday.
do they check your stats? Like, oh, this one's got 25 acres. It's like, I just, but I know they just put, because with the eHarmony thing, right? You put people in the ads that would make people looking for that be enticed to sign
You
up.
would,
And just
you would think. My whole one was like, hi, I'm a cute 20-year-old. What's up? I don't need to rush dating. Then I was older because they did prosthetics. Then I was an old woman who was going to die alone. And they're like, you could sign up. And I'm like, I can still join. Like the whole thrust of my ad was like, eHarmony, don't die alone.
Anyway, listen, I say this as a guy with a family with a farm. We got the Campea
Same.
Ranch, we've got like a whole.
Logan was a dairy
saying
farmer.
I'm just saying, why would you make it look like the men on the app are like the bottom of the barrel of the dating pool people? If you're trying to entice people, I just never got it. But so anyway, that's just me. All right, what's next?
Okay, James LH writes, hi crew, at Cineworld, I was back to 1982 with E.T. and Wrath of Khan. Looking forward to a secret screening, but COVID finally found me. Not feeling good. Hope the vaccines do their job, but enjoying the John Campea show.
Oh, thank you so much for that, man. And that's like Cineworld over in the UK, they do some great stuff with screening older films. And to be able to go see E.T. and Wrath of Khan in 1 week, that sounds like a whole lot of bliss. And hopefully with you, it'll be like my wife and a lot of my friends who ended up getting COVID, but because they were vaccinated, the effects weren't actually all that bad. So hopefully that'll be the same experience you get to have, man. All right, what's next?
Mr. Downtown writes, I'm kind of curious for those that have seen both. Is Arcane actually better than Invincible? The writing
Yes.
in Invincible was so strong.
Yeah, the writing in Invincible is gibberish compared to Arcane. And if you watch me review it, I love Invincible.
Yeah.
I love that show.
Very different
I
shows,
cannot
too.
wait for it to come back. It's a very, very different show. In almost every respect, Arcane is a superior show. And I say that as a absolute out of the closet lover of Invincible. I love that show, but it's not for me, and it's all subjective. For me, it's not even close. Arcane's a superior show. I don't know. You guys have seen both.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think?
I mean, I love the Invincible comics, and I don't have a connection to Arcane, the game stuff, but I really think that show is very, very well done. Invincible is a really wonderful adaptation of a comic I love, though.
Yeah, that's the point. I mean, I think Invincible's a good animated series. Arcane's next level.
Yeah.
I mean, Arcane's something we haven't seen before. And even though you could say it's inspired by League of Legends, it's kind of its own thing.
It's
And-
very, very much its own
and
thing.
it,
Yeah.
it is, dude, it's spectacular.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
John Wildbacher, Arcane winning best animated show is great, but can we put some respect on the name of the best TV movie this year? Chippendales Rescue Rangers.
I have still not watched it. What? I know I meant to watch it, but then new things come out all the time, and my wife watched it, and she's like kind of mad at me that I haven't watched it yet. Everybody I know who's seen it says it's really good. Like Chris, I know you love it.
I love it so much. Yeah.
Well, there you go. All right, what's next?
Alex Gonzalez writes, hello everyone, just want to show love and support for the channel. You guys are the best. Keep up the good work.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate that very much. All right, what's next?
And then one last one from JG Trey. He writes, hey guys, I went to go see Jaws for the very first time
Nice.
at AMC and IMAX. Nothing beats the movie theater experience. I can never be convinced otherwise.
You know, I've never got to see Jaws on the big screen. I can
Me
only
neither.
imagine what that must be like. I mean, that's so like, I think most people would agree that like a top 10, I think I feel safe in saying this, a top 10 shot in movies of all time is him throwing chum in the water, turning around, and Bruce comes out of the water. And then that camera shot as he backs up startled with the cigarette kind of hanging in his mouth. I mean, it's like one of the greatest shots of all time. To see that on the big screen, I think would be amazing.
I saw it when it was first run.
Really?
You know, when it first came out, it was the first PG movie I saw in a theater.
It's wild that that's PG.
It was a while ago, and I have to tell you, there's a jump scare in that movie when they find Ben Gardner's boat.
Right.
And Matt Hooper. I'd never, when I was a kid, I'd never even felt anything like that before. I didn't know that that was possible. I mean, I love that feeling, but it was terrifying. Like I think I was 8. I didn't even know that a human emotion like that existed. Like you could be that scared from a jump. And I'm like, I want more. I want more of this.
What's great about that chumming scene is that's the first time you see Bruce the shark that music doesn't precede him, so you don't expect it.
Yeah, it just can't. It comes out of nowhere, and it's like, okay, it was such a great shot.
You know, and there's also a shot in the trailer that I've always loved that has the dorsal fin and the tail, and you see it just going underneath the water after it's gone in the lagoon.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about verisimilitude. I mean, it looks absolutely real, and it's absolutely terrifying because it's the first time you can see how big that fish is.
Yeah. All right, what's next? Oh, no, I guess that's it for that thing, right? All right, let's move over and start taking your super chats now. Chris, what do we got?
We got some support from Not a Chance, so thank you very much. From Josh Kahn, happy Arcane won the Emmy. Have 2 thoughts about animated shows in the Emmys. First, animated shows don't get presented on the main show. Second, animated shows can't submit to dramedy, comedy, and animated show.
I mean, and both are odd. I don't understand. Listen, I talk about the Oscars that I think you need to take some categories out of the broadcast because nobody cares. But I mean, you create a category, best animated show. These are shows. You're talking about what's the best show of this group of shows. Put that on the main show. I don't understand that whatsoever.
Yeah.
But also the fact that they cannot submit for the real categories. Like, I'm sorry, story's a story. I don't care if the medium is actors in front of a camera or artists creating the actors that we see. a story's a story. It's either the best movie or it's not. It's one of the best shows of the year or it's not. And I've been saying this, I've been thumping on this for years about the Oscars, that you need to have, I think they shouldn't even have a best animated category, frankly, in the Oscars, because I think they only created that category to give them an excuse for not nominating them for Best Picture.
Exactly.
But
we covered this with Lord and Miller, their letter about it.
Yeah.
It's people treat animation so disrespectfully.
Yeah. Look, a great story is a great story, period. And I hope they correct that in the future. All right. What's next?
From Stubble McShave, over under 70%, there'll be protests that only a mortally obese person should have played the role in The Whale, since actors can only portray what they are.
Well, I mean, actually, I would say yes, you're going to get some people that'll come out and say, hey, there are some really, I don't know what the right term for it is, John Campea figured people in the world. I mean, the larger people in the world that are actors and don't get any of the choice roles. And now you got a role for this. Why not hire a really overweight actor? The difference is, from what I understand from the synopsis, is like they say in the stories about this, that the prosthetics that Brendan Fraser had to go through in the show ranged from prosthetics that added 50 pounds to him all the way up to prosthetics that added 600 pounds to him. So we see, apparently, we're going to see Brendan Fraser go through this weight change throughout. And so therefore you need an actor that could be all things. So they had to go with prosthetics. Mm-hmm. All right. Good question, though. What's next? From the Sensible Chuckle, giving a almost $20 super chat. Thank you, Sensible. Thank you, Sensible. Hero up, squaddies. The Superhero Squad show is on Disney+. It's vibrantly comical. The theme song is euphorically a headbanger like the John Campea show intro. The mayor of Superhero City is voiced by Stan Lee. Wait a minute. I have no idea. What is this? I have not heard about this. Ray, do you know anything about this?
Yes, I do. I only know them from the action figures or whatever toys that they released. I think there's a video game too. But we talked about this. You saw me watching it after a viewer mentioned it in a question. It's like these cheapy, right. You were putting it looking on Marvel characters, right. And they look really cute. And I watched a couple of clips. It looks hilarious. How? Like Thanos just like sharing a bunk bed with Adam Warlock. And they're just shooting the shit right there. Cute. You know, it looks really funny. So I want to see this. I do. I'm confused about Stan Lee being a voice in this. Well, this is older, right? This is older. It's just now on there. Is he saying that there's like? Did he say there's a new season? I didn't know if this was pre-existing content. If he's saying that, it's on Disney Plus, meaning they finally brought it over. Okay. Then yeah, we should. A couple of us should check it out. I never heard of it until somebody brought it up on the show. That sounds adorable. All right, what's next? From Sam Fisher, I watched the episodes 3 and 4 of Welcome to Wrexham, and I realized something. You come for Rob and Ryan, but you stay for the people of Wrexham. I just watched episodes 3 and 4. I am obsessed with this show. And again, I mentioned this the other day because I kind of told myself that when Welcome to Wrexham was coming out that we were not going to talk about it on the John Campea show, simply because Ryan Reynolds is on the show. Mint Mobile is a sponsor of the show. I didn't want to appear favoritism, but it's so good. And like everything, there's this, we were talking about this before, but Rob McElhenney, it's Rob is his first name, right? Rob is his first name, yeah. There's a scene in Welcome to Wrexham where he's talking about how they need to start utilizing their social media influence and everything to promote the team. And there's a scene in the episode where he's like documentary confessional style. He's like, between Ryan and I, we have like 45 million followers on Instagram. We have like 30 something million followers on Twitter. And we really need to leverage that following. And then you could tell that's where it was supposed to be cut off, right? And you hear his assistant off camera go, yeah, how many of those are Ryan's followers? And he's like, that's not relevant. He goes, you're going to put up a graphic of this, aren't you? And then the editor puts up this graphic that like out of the 45 million followers, Rob is like 1 million followers. Ryan Reynolds had like 44 million. But no, you're right. Like you think you're watching this thing to see these two stars are buying a team. You think this is about them. And it's not. It's about this town. And it's about, there's a scene where there's this woman who's confined to a wheelchair. And for years, she has full time, volunteered with this team to work in the stadium and just as a volunteer. And one of the very first things Rob and Ryan did, they gave her a call saying, we need to put you on staff.
You're going to become our chief officer of making sure that our facilities are accessible, and we're going to have you working with the team and blah, blah. And I'm like, this is beautiful. Like, Anna and I are watching this. And it's like, you fall in love with this town, with this city and these people, and how important, again, I say this as a sports fan, but how important sports are to a community and to stuff like that. And I love this show. If you're not watching Welcome to Wrexham,
It's so good.
You really, really need to.
I'm not a sports person. I don't understand it at all. And this has made me care so much. Like, I get it. I get it now.
They're going to make a sports ball fan of you.
I know. I'm so
ball
invested.
forever.
I love all the behind the scenes drama.
What's next?
From Ben Rayner sending in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
I've finally been watching Harley Quinn on HBO Max, and OMG, it might be my favorite DC show right now. Ivy and Harley are incredible together, and I need a spinoff focusing on Joker, based on that one season 3.
I'll tell you what, there's Joker has been a great character in this thing right from the first episode, but they've taken Joker on his own kind of journey, if you will, and now he's a dad with like he got a girlfriend who had children from a previous marriage, and now he's the stepdad to these kids, and he's like totally committed to these kids, like absolutely committed to be the best parent again. Like the story journey with Joker has been insane. That episode where he's like trying to get a multilingual program for kids going in their school district is like one of the craziest episodes, and I absolutely love it. This show is remarkable. I love Harley Quinn. Again, it's another one of those shows that I was like, F this show. I don't want to watch this. This looks stupid. The animation looks stupid. The trailers were stupid. I had no interest in this, and it's like one of my favorites right now. It's so good. All right, what's next?
From Amin, it's so hard being a fan of certain franchises nowadays. Just saying you like something gets overwhelmed by hate. It wasn't like this 5 or 6 years ago.
No, and there's a certain event that happened in our culture that kind of spurred this on, which I won't mention now or go into, but yeah, it's for whatever reason now, it used to be that fans love spreading their love of things they liked. That's what fans used to do. Now there's a growing cancer in fandom that seeks to do the opposite. I need to evangelize hatred for the things that I hate. That's never what fandom used to be. Now it's about, we need to rally people to our cause, that we should all hate this, and then we should hate this, and we should hate this. And don't even get me going on some of their reasoning for wanting to do that. But it used to be fandom was a place, again, to quote the great John Schnepp, that fandom is a celebration of the things we love. And you're right, the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, there's been this growing cancer in fandom that is completely the opposite now. Now it's about, let's seek out to destroy. Let's seek out to wreck things and to ruin things. And it's sad and it's pathetic and it's unfortunately, and I think it turns a lot of potential new fandoms from growing. I think it keeps a lot of people out of fandom, to be honest with you, because they look into it and they just see a bunch of whiny babies and they're like, I don't want to be a part of that. And it's unfortunate. But everything in life moves in cycles. Glam metal will come back. And so will healthy fandom at some point. All right, what's next?
From Chef Rigo.
Rigo!
John, I'm very mad at Canada right now.
Uh-oh.
Went to see Good Canadian Kid the weekend in LA, and he canceled the concert after 2 songs. Got my refund though.
What?
Yeah, it was his third song. He said his voice was out and he had to stop.
Oh my
no.
God. I'm
sold out concert, by the way.
All right. Was that the Friday or the Saturday concert? Because he had a Friday night concert.
I think it was Saturday.
Okay, good, because I nearly surprised my wife with tickets for the weekend on Saturday, because we were at John Williams on Friday.
He said good.
And when I was getting ready to buy, I use Vivid Seats is the app that I use to buy tickets. So I was on the app buying the John Williams tickets. Then I saw that same night and the next night, Weekend was playing at SoFi. We both had plans, so we couldn't do it. But I was getting ready to drop money that is like, well, that kills any social money that John gets to spend for the next 3 months kind of money if I bought those tickets. But I knew Anne Marie liked it, almost bought them. I'm so glad I didn't buy them hearing this. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, if the guy's voice goes, what's he
Yeah.
supposed to do? I mean, there's nothing you can do, and that does suck. But to drive out to SoFi Stadium, pay $100 for parking. Yes, you heard that right. SoFi Stadium is anywhere between $100 to $400 for parking. go in, get your place, you're there for whatever, and then he would, oh, that would suck. I'm so sorry to hear that, dude. That truly does rip. That's awful. All right, what's next?
From J Master.
J Master.
Only 3 days left for Disney Plus Day and only 4 days until D23 weekend, where big bumps will be dropping for Marvel, Star Wars, and 20th Century Studios.
Big surprises are
Big
coming.
surprises.
I'm telling you what, D23, again, am I Ask Me Anything I did last night? Somebody asked me, what do you think is going to be the biggest news coming out of D23? So I said this. I said, the biggest news is going to be Fantastic Four. That is the biggest news. As far as what will be the biggest surprise, well, we don't know because that's a surprise. But I think not only are we going to get massive, incredible big news, I think we're going to get surprises, the likes of which none of us are expecting. Everybody thinks they know what's going to be announced going in this. I think none of us do. But I cannot wait for D23 this weekend. Very excited. Of course, we're going to go to it. Going to be boots on the ground there. We're going to be giving you a couple of videos from there. Cannot wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, what's next?
From Elizabeth Arado. Hi, guys. I decided to go to the theater for $3 tickets, and it was not worth it.
Uh-oh.
People talking, walking around the theater. Someone had a full 30-minute phone call, and no one got kicked out.
See, there are theaters that absolutely will not allow that to happen. And there are some theaters that do. And I feel really bad for some theaters because, listen, staffing right now for not just movie theaters, for like restaurants, like a lot of restaurants Ann and I go into these days will have a sign at the front saying, hey, we are short staffed. Please be patient with our wait staff who are being overworked right now, and they're doing the best they can to keep up and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's true in movie theaters as well. I think a lot of them are understaffed because they're just having trouble finding people to work. But that's unfortunate because I believe every movie theater should do what the ArcLight Hollywood used to do. Where at the beginning,
you had to bring that name
I
up.
know it's sad to think about it, but at the beginning of the movies, what the ArcLight Theater in Hamilton, in Hollywood used to do, is that just before the movie began, a staff person actually came into the theater and said, "Folks, thank you for coming. You're here to see this movie. It has a running time of this much. Please remember, be respectful of the patrons around you. Please don't talk during the movie. Please keep your phones in your pockets. Blah blah. Have a great time." And I'll tell you what, I never had a problem in an ArcLight theater. You go to what's the Draft House?
Draft House.
Draft House like will literally just straight up shame your ass.
They remove you and you feel bad.
Yeah, and like before the movie starts, they don't just play little videos that say, "Hey guys, please be courteous." They have Ethan Hawke. Now, forgive my language here, but they literally have Ethan Hawke and the girl who is in the after movies with them. The before sun.
Julie.
Yes, Juliet something.
Yeah.
But they pretend like they're acting out a
Why?
scene to a movie, and then you hear this phone ring, and then Juliet and Ethan Hawke are like, and they swear, straight up swear, it's like,
Julie Depley.
some fucker has their phone on in a movie, and they will just go like calling you like the biggest piece of garbage in the world if you do that and whatever. And guess what? I've never had a problem in an Alamo Draft House. And on the rare occasion you hear about something, they literally have a staff member come in and kick your ass out. Good for them. More theaters need to do that. And listen, I've been going to the movie theaters for a very, very, very long time. And I've been very lucky. I can count on one hand in the thousands of times I've gone to the theaters, how many times I've actually had a disruptive experience in a movie theater. So I'm lucky, but some people have it more than that. But
there is though, I think it's part of our society. There's a fundamental lack of awareness and understanding. Even last night at John Williams, there were people talking during some of the music cues. And I try and be tolerant, but I'm like, why are you here? You're here for one reason, to listen to the music that's being played. And when you're talking, you're not just not paying attention to the very reason you're here, but you're also ruining it for other people. And the same is true. Who's walking around taking cell phone calls in a movie theater? Someone who's completely unaware or uncaring about a jackass.
Yeah.
And like, that's why my go-to position when someone's talking is I do the Clint Eastwood thing. If you don't shut up, I'm going to slit your wrists or slit your throat but say it very nicely.
Oh yeah.
But say nicely,
I do the Stepford voice of the, "I'm so sorry, I didn't pay to hear you."
yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then
Yeah.
Logan says that's the voice of death that's going to come for him in the night one day.
Well, I just don't understand it. Like, why do people go to these public events where you're clearly, why you're there and then disregard them? Like walking around in a movie theater?
Because a lot of people today just have no common decency or
Yeah.
courtesy.
Well,
Everybody thinks the
that's
world
true.
revolves around them, and
Yeah,
it's like,
it's true.
yeah.
And I think that's a big problem with the modern age.
All right, what's next?
From Fanimator, I have officially seen Top Gun Maverick 14 times in
Wow.
theaters. I'm so glad it's still in the top 5 box office. It's now my favorite movie of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to lie. You guys heard me talking about Top Gun from the very moment that we saw it first at CinemaCon in Las Vegas, a couple months before it came out, enamored with the film. I'm not going to be facetious and pretend like I think it's the greatest movie of all time, nor do I think it's a top 5 movie of the year. I mean, it's really entertaining. It's
Right.
thrilling, and I had a really, really good time with it. Yes, it is Star Wars Trench Run, the movie. And they don't even bother to name who the bad guy in the movie is.
Right.
There's literally
The enemy.
Yeah, you don't even get to see or meet the enemy. It's just there's some bad guys out there. Let's go play some beach football. But it's a fun, exhilarating movie. I had a very, very good time with it. Pulitzer winning, no. So I wouldn't put it on that high list. But listen, the bottom line is this: movies are experiential events, and if you had the best experience at the movie with it, and that is your number one experience, then good on you. That's amazing, and I'm glad you had such a good time, and that you were able to go and see it that many times. That's incredible. All right, what's next?
All right, for this one, it's 1 of 3, but I scrolled up and I didn't see parts 2 and 3.
Okay.
All right, that happens. All right, what's next?
Dewan William. Theory. Nothing happens on the waters of Emmy without the explicit involvement of Osi, the Maiar of the sea, or Ulmo, the Valar of water.
I think
Middle
so.
Earth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking about Rings of Power. So, unfortunately, without getting more context, we can't really go into. I don't know. Maybe we'll stumble across it a little bit later.
Yeah,
All right,
next
what's
one.
next?
From Luis Enrique de la Peña, new segment name proposals. Thirst thoughts, pool thoughts, or wet thought.
Okay, so last night, because last week somebody wrote in and said you should do a quick. Remember, somebody wrote on the show said you should do a quick reaction after watching the episode. I said, okay, I'm going to do that. So last night, like I said, it has been sweltering. I think today it's like 108 or something like that. But anyway, so and we were going to go swimming in the evening. So we finish Game of Thrones and immediately go dive in the pool. And we're in the pool. I'm like, oh, hand me my phone. I forgot to do this thing. So I just recorded from the pool, right? I never thought it would be that big of a deal. People apparently were like, why'd you do that from the pool? I don't know. I was in the pool, give my quick reaction. But yeah, maybe it's an entirely new segment.
Change it up.
I got my fireside chats where I do little messages from beside the fire pit. I've got my thoughts on walks, although I haven't done one of those in a long time. And now, wet thoughts. There we go. That's the name of the new segment. Wet thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know about that, man.
All right, what's next?
Fry Minis. If Rob was a Pokemon, would he be a Squirtle? I feel like you're trying to make a gross joke here. He would be on the Squirtle squad, which is the cool Squirtles, but probably he'd be a Stoutland. He grows
I'll take
magnificent
that.
facial hair. He has a big heart, and he's very kind. He would rescue you from a blizzard.
I'll take that. I don't know about a Squirtle.
I know Pikachu, and that's oh no, wait.
Oh my gosh.
The not the Balthazar. No,
Charizard?
Charizard. Yeah. I just remember from watching Pawn Stars that it's the most valuable card that you can get.
Oh.
Is the Charizard.
You got to know
That's what I-
Snorlax, too.
Oh, yeah, that's
Ann
right.
loves the Snorlax.
The Snorlax.
Yeah, Ann's got an
We have
entire-
one in the office.
Oh, that's right. We got a living one in the office. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, I'm really interested in Whale, but I don't know if I'll go because I worry there's going to be an element of body horror, and I have my own anxieties about my weight.
I don't think it's not a horror movie. It's a drama about a guy who abandons his family, and then his life is a wreck after that. And weight becomes a thing. Sometimes weight is tied to emotion in some cases, and it just brings his life to a certain point. Then he tries to rebuild his life and stuff like that. So I'm sure there's going to be uncomfortable issues with it. Listen, there's a lot of different movies that people would be uncomfortable with for a wide variety of reasons. Anybody who's had a close loved one die of cancer may not want to go see a movie where a cancer victim is a key theme. People who've lost loved ones in a car accident may not want to go to a movie that features prominently a car accident or something like that. We all have those different reasons. There's nothing wrong with any of them. So you have to make a judgment for yourself about, once you hear about the movie, read some reviews, you judge if it's something that you're going to feel comfortable watching or not. And that's the key thing. All right, what's next?
From Raymond Villarde. As per deadline, 9 a.m., Top Gun Maverick just smoked Spider-Man for the Labor Day weekend box office, 7.9 mil to 6.5 mil. It took Top Gun Maverick 16 weeks to return to number one, while it took the OG Top Gun 12 weeks.
Well, now it's important to note that $7.9 million is a little bit misleading in the fact that that is counting the extra day for the holiday weekend. The actual weekend number was 6, but still, like I said, the reports just started rolling in a few minutes before we started the show today that the estimate numbers got revised in the actuals today, that Top Gun actually took the number 1 spot. Again, I'm waiting to see the final things to come in from Rentrax, but that's what it looks like it's going to do right now. All right, what's next?
From Hero75, I admit that the post-credit scene of She-Hulk Episode 3 didn't work for me, and in truth, none of the jokes involving Megan Thee Stallion did, because I simply had never heard of her.
I mean, listen, I said, all right, Ray, I'm sure you love this one. And Ray's like, I don't even know who that is. So you're not the only one who wasn't sure who Megan Thee Stallion was. And yeah, listen, if it worked for you, it worked for you. If it didn't work for you, my only part was not that everybody should like the scene, but I think this whole idea that that was a dumb scene to do because it just doesn't fit the MCU. It's like, now, then you don't know She-Hulk at all, and you don't understand what this show is supposed to be, and it's different. Again, yeah, they dropped it in the middle of Endgame when, like when Hawkeye is like still lamenting over the loss of his family. Yeah, inappropriate, bad timing. But
You don't think
in this
that's
show,
a time to twerk?
What's that?
You don't think that's a time to twerk?
Yeah,
My whole
maybe
family's
not.
dead.
Don't give me hope. Yada, 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 yada. It's like, no, bad timing. It's all about timing and context. All right, what's next?
From South Texas Shark, didn't Peter have a dance-off in Guardians 1?
Yeah.
And it worked.
Peter Quill.
Yeah.
He-
Come on, bro,
Peter
dance off.
Quill. I'm thinking
You and me.
Peter Parker. I'm like, Peter Parker is not in Guardians 1. What are you talking? That's right. Yes, he did. Dance off, you and me. Just trying to distract him. First of all, Lee Pace, as
Good Texas kid.
Ronan the Accuser.
Mm-hmm.
The sheer, like, who's been this menacing figure in this whole thing, as Quill starts to do the dance off, just the way he looks at him is like, what's happening? Like, something about that moment I just love. Like, something only James Gunn can coordinate. All right, what's next?
From Stubble McShave, Taylor's been 10 times more on PGS channel than on the John Campea channel.
I don't know what's
PG?
My channel.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm like, PGS? Like
Post
what?
Geek Singularity.
Oh, I see. I get it.
Yeah, he came on late night, Friday night. Everyone, well, but then again, he has been wantonly making fun of me on Instagram.
Yes.
Doing.
Doing
And
this
whenever
voice.
you're not in the room, by the way.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd let you know that.
It's okay. Only 12,000 people have seen that video, Rob.
I mean,
Only.
that got more engagement than anything I've ever put up on my Instagram. And you're pretending.
Well, it's
to be
because
me.
Taylor does a fantastic impression of
It's
you.
a pretty good one.
Like, what was that impression you did, Taylor? Not that I'm trying to put you on the spot. What was?
Well, would you believe I got that on physical media?
Sounds like
I was gonna say.
James Stewart.
Yeah. Well. Did you know?
Here in Bedford Falls.
Yeah.
Say it's usually
Is she a
lower.
redhead?
There we go. That's the one.
All right. What's next?
Do I say a lot?
Usually just John. Jaws saw Jaws in IMAX. It looked great, but my enjoyment was ruined by a bunch of talkative kids, not much older than 10. Ugh, I'm so sorry, Mike Joyce. That stinks.
What are kids doing unsupervised in a Jaws? Well, it is PG.
It's PG.
They
but
get
still.
Again, like I said, I've been very, very lucky. I can count on one hand the number of times I've been in a theater where something has been literally disruptive to the viewing experience. But when it does happen, it's infuriating, and that sucks.
It's a problem at my Regal a lot. We have a lot of Utes. A lot of
Utes?
Utes come in there.
But listen, I'm in tons of movie theaters with lots of Utes, and
Yeah.
they're always great.
We get ones that are dropped off and unsupervised, and then they're menaces.
All right, you just need theaters to take more initiative at the beginning of things. Say, hey, guy, literally, if I own a movie theater, I would literally have my staff come out and say, hey, don't be that dickweed that talks during the movie. Can we all agree? Don't be the dickweed.
That's
all right?
all we've done is we
Great.
just get up, we go get one of the employees, and then they come in and do a, hey, you can't talk in here.
You know what? In the one thing, again, I have issues with Alamo Drafthouse. I do, because I have issues with the people who own it. But they do a number of things really, really well. And one of the things they do in a number of these theaters, they actually give you a narc button. That you literally in your seat.
Yeah.
They literally, in some of their theaters, if somebody's being a jerk in the theater, talking through a constantly pulling the phone, every seat has its own button that you can just press that calls for staff. and say, basically, yeah, that loser
person.
over there just won't shut up. And they'll throw their ass out, which is like great. I mean, hey, full kudos to them for that. All right, what's next?
From Sir John. I didn't realize how much I missed Stargirl until I watched season 3 premiere. Very interested in the murder mystery route they are going this season. Last season, they nailed the horror tone. Ooh, I didn't know it came back. Okay.
Listen, I was very interested in Stargirl when it was first coming out. Luke Wilson was in. I love both the Wilson brothers. It wasn't for me. That's all. I got a number of episodes into it. I really tried, and I'm not gonna sit here and say it's a garbage show or anything like that. It wasn't for me, and I tapped out of it. But did you watch?
I liked it. I thought it was fun. I'm very excited that it didn't get the axe as Zaslav. So I'm gonna go home and watch that after I watch Wrexham.
Yet.
All right. Yet.
Yeah.
What's next?
From The Great Gatsby, what is your favorite Star Wars droid? After rewatching Rogue One last night, K2SO, he is my absolute fave.
No question, none. I remember when Ann and I went to go watch it again in theaters the other day, like I forgot how great K2SO is. Like just even the physical movements, because there's a great line in it when Andor gives her the gun. And he says, would you like to know the probability that she uses that gun on us? It's like, no. He goes, and you got to pay attention to his hands. It's high. And then they start doing something and turns back. It's very high. Just K2SO is such a great, and that's the one thing that I'm very disappointed going into Andor season 1 is knowing that we do not get K2SO in season 1. So hopefully that gets corrected when they do season 2.
What's your favorite droid?
K2SO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In all Star Wars?
I mean, here's the thing. Who's the most beloved in my heart? It's R2. I think that's the same as most people, obviously. But who's just straight up most entertaining? It's K2.
Who's yours, Rob?
That's true. Gonk.
Oh, the walking trash can.
I love him. I like BD1. BD1's so
It's
cute.
adorable.
I just looked
precious.
that Gonk droid though. If you're out of power,
I mean,
and
you
there's a
need a
Gonk
big
droid
walking
around,
battery.
that could save your ass.
That's right.
It's true.
All right, what's next?
From James Germain. Hey, John, still hoping for that 8-legged freak's Aaron's reaction. LOL.
Yeah,
Oh, that'd
no.
be so mean.
See, no, that would never happen because number one, I would never ask her to do it. Like with Aaron, it's not like with Chris, like, haha, I want to get her to watch something scary. Aaron, it's a true deep phobia.
A very real
it's
phobia.
it's a very true and a very deep phobia with her. So I would never ask her to do it. And number two, even if I did, she would tell me to F right off.
Yeah. I don't know if
yeah.
you've met Aaron Cummings on this show, but
Yeah. So no, not going to be doing that. Although it would be all kinds of hilarious, but no, we'll never
she'd
do
be
that.
so scared.
All right, what's next?
From Luis Enrique de la Pena again. Can you imagine all the Campea crew twerking to Megan Thee Stallion? YouTube would crash.
Listen, we
should try it.
We shot a little something this weekend that may be that. No, I'm not. No, that never happened. No, that's
like, what?
Never happened.
How drunk did I get at my
Never
birthday
happened,
party?
and it never ever will. All right, what's next?
From Jay Master. Hey, crew. On Sunday during the Emmys, one of my favorite movies of the year, Disney's Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, won an Emmy for Outstanding TV Movie.
Again, is that they give that one away on the technical words? They don't do that one on the main show, TV movie. Wow, because it's not even an animated one. Like it's just TV movie. They really, or was it? Did they classify it as an animated movie?
Well, it's a hybrid. So
Yeah, so I don't know what
don't
they
know how they
classified it.
classify
Yeah, I did. I'll have to find that out. That's very interesting. All right, what's next?
From Suthius, Pinocchio. Can't I just keep pretending I'm your son? Geppetto, you are my son. Coming soon, Man of Wood. You'll definitely know if he's lying.
Oh dear.
Well,
By the way, again, one of the best moments in any comic book movie ever is Kevin Costner when the kid says to Kevin Costner, "Can't we just keep pretending I'm your son?" And Kevin Costner, which is one of the best moments of acting in any comic book movie ever, when he takes him in his arms and says, "You are my son." I still break. I've seen it 100 times now, and I still break every time I see it. All right, what's next?
He was like, no, sorry, you gotta go.
Yeah, it's like, nope, you ain't my real
No,
kid.
done.
What,
Done
I've
with
been
this.
raising you? What's next?
from Trevor. Hey guys, this past Saturday was nuts. I saw 4 newer movies: 3,000 Years of Longing, Breaking, Beast, and Bullet Train. My favorite was surprisingly Breaking. John Boyega was phenomenal.
Yeah, you know what? I think it was Taylor and I were talking before the show a little bit about one of the really big shames about Breaking is that while a lot of attention is being given to John Boyega's performance, is that I think it was Michael Williams's. I think that's going to end up being his final movie.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes really great things have unfortunate consequences, like Daniel Day-Lewis giving the greatest performance of all time in any movie in There Will Be Blood. The unfortunate consequence of that is nobody talks about Paul Dano in that movie, because Paul Dano was insanely good.
I mean, if you're going to drink someone's milkshake, you have to know who the person that owned that milkshake was.
Yes, and
you need to know.
Boy, he was the milkshake owner, and he was so good in that. And I think one of the unfortunate side effects of like a lot of this positive attention John Boyega is getting for his performance in this is that nobody's really talking about that it was Michael Williams' might be his final one. That I don't know. I don't think there's any other projects that he already had in the can before he passed away.
Yeah, I really want to see this movie. I mean, every time I see the trailers for it, I seem to watch them. It looks, I think the word searing comes to mind.
Yeah.
Like a searing drama.
All right. What's next?
From James Argenta, could The Stranger be adaptation of Tom Bombadil? Bombadil, excuse me. Could be.
No, I
mean-
I really don't think so. But I mean, you never know. I mean, every theory from Sauron to Gandalf to one of the Blue Wizards to something else entirely.
Kal-El.
It's Cal. Hey, actually, it kind of fits. Bom, 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 bom. All right, what's next?
From Dwan William. Oh, here we go. Part 2 of 3
Oh.
about Middle Earth. Why would two of the most powerful beings in Arda go out of their way to murder Halbrand the Nobody? So then we still don't know where 3 is?
No.
Okay.
I can't remember part 1.
I was talking about various peoples. I don't understand where we're at though, Dwan.
This is the problem with trying to send in multi-part questions. Is
Yeah.
they get separated all over the place. Anyway,
Sorry.
Discuss in the chat below. Discuss in the chat below. All right, what's next?
Speaking of multi-part questions,
Okay.
From Deep Garg, 1 of 2. Hey, John and crew. Many people in the West seem to be high on Rise, Roar, Revolt nowadays. Well, that's good, but I would like to sort of remind you that...
And-
Well, there's the 3 of 3.
No.
no.
Okay, we can't waste time doing that.
Sorry.
Okay, we'll get back to it if we get around to part 2. All right, what's next?
Okay. From Vixter 5001, in London, we didn't have John Williams, very jealous, but went to a concert of superhero film music on Saturday. MCU, DC, Star Wars, Star Trek, ending with John Williams.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I love going to Star. You know what I think it was Star Wars was the first one that I remember doing this with. I love the movies in concert series when they do. I remember one where why am I freezing on the name of the guy who plays C-3PO?
Anthony
Daniels. Anthony Daniels narrates it. And Anthony Daniels comes on stage and he narrates a story, and then the orchestra plays with the scenes playing on the thing. You and I went to a Black Panther.
Dude, that Black Panther concert was unbelievable.
They had an orchestra on stage at the Hollywood Bowl. They played the movie on the screen. Just the movie is stripped of the soundtrack, and then the orchestra on stage played it. And it's just, I love those things. So
incredible.
All kind of concert experiences like that you get to do is just fantastic. All right, what's next?
From Rachel Knight Online, shout out to the guy who proposed to his girlfriend at the theater before Spider-Man the other day. She said no, but the movie was still good.
You know what? This just speaks to don't propose in front of an audience.
This is very
All
true.
the time.
This is very, very true.
Unless it's one of those proposals where you and your significant other have discussed it in advance, and when the time is right, but you've understood that we are going to get married at some point, and then you decide that that's the moment to pop the question. Okay, great, but you should never have an ounce of uncertainty about
You guys,
doing
everything's
that
going to be
publicly.
okay. He proposed in an AMC theater.
Heartbreak.
Everything was good.
Can't imagine someone said that.
Oh, no.
All right, what's next?
From Blake62, Hilbrand is totally Sauron.
I'm not, listen, very popular theory. I'm not sold on that at this point, but there's a little too many nuances that make me wonder about that. But again, very popular theory now might end up being that. All right, what's next?
From Moon7 Willow, I want to thank Rob for mentioning John Williams' Sabrina score. I love both that movie and score.
Oh, it's a great score. And I agree. I mean, it doesn't get talked about enough. John Williams has scored a lot of other movies other than Star Wars and Harry Potter and Superman. And like I love the De Palma movie The Fury, and the score he wrote for that's incredible. But that Sabrina score is really lush and beautiful.
By the way, one of the examples of a remake that's actually better than the original. All right, what's next?
This is the third part from Dwan William. And how would Hallbrand the Nobody know to use Galadriel as a hostage against the wrath of the gods? Olmo loved the elves and never allowed one to drown in his domain, unless Hildebrand equals Sauron.
Again, listen.
Halbrand, excuse me.
When you come in, it goes back to the same conversation you have about comic book movies all the time. The comics are the comics, the movies are the movies. Civil War, the comic book story, ain't nothing like Civil War, the movie.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. You can go through all the examples of that. The basic fundamental thing is this: if you are one of the people who has read original source material, you cannot do yourself the disservice of going into the live screen adaptations just expecting the same thing or trying to draw your conclusions based on that. 'Tis folly, as Boromir would say. It's folly. So how or why and what the motivations will be, you're just going to have to sit back and just take your pre-existing ideas and set them aside. It's like everything I always say about every movie you go into, right? Take your expectations, whatever they are, and leave them at the door once you go in to watch something. You got to do that here as well. And so we will see what happens. But again, if you just try to connect lines and whatever to what was in the source material, you're always bound to be disappointed no matter what. So just let's see what the show is going to do with it, and then we'll evaluate it from there. All right, what's next?
From Rob McDonald, how do you feel about Jamie Dutton? Every time I start liking him, he does something stupid or despicable to make me start hating him again.
I love the Jamie Dutton character. We're talking about Yellowstone. Because he is so multi-layered. There is no black and white in that show. Nobody is purely good and nobody is purely bad. And that's what makes it so interesting. Jamie is fundamentally, he's a guy who is all his life kind of wanting to do the right thing while also being very self-centered and selfish. He is self-centered and he's selfish, but he's also always tried to do what he thought was the right thing. The two exist at once, and the two existing at once will come into conflict with itself and cause problems. And Jamie has been in problems, some of which is not his own making and some that is. So that's one of the things I love about this show and characters like this. All right, what's next?
From Joe Rendazzo, good Canadian kids Nickelback have new music out this weekend with a $50 super chat to tell us about it.
Joe.
To trumpet
They said a hero could save us.
Can I be honest? I didn't even know if they were still alive.
Whoa.
I didn't even, let alone still playing music. I had no idea.
Like you thought the whole band just died?
I didn't
every single one of
know.
them.
I didn't know. I didn't know if they perished in a big poutine eating accident or what.
I wonder if he's dead.
I just didn't know.
Object permanency kind of deaths. I haven't seen them, so.
Never made it as a wise man. I'm just saying. It's just, who knows? Listen, new music coming out from Nickelback, everybody.
Woo woo.
It's going to be like the Brendan Fraser resurgence. Daddy, daddy. Okay, anyway, sorry. What's next?
From Virtuoso Z, sending in also an almost $50 super chat. Thank you, Virtuoso.
Oh, wow. Thank you, man.
No Way Home Extended is phenomenal. The added scenes nicely improve the overall pacing, fleshing out character moments in between the action set pieces. Since it's playing in theaters, can we consider this cut of No Way Home the definitive version?
No. If it was the definitive version, it would have been the one they put out when they released the movie as a whole. So the movie as it is the definitive version. This isn't, I'll be honest with you. I'm curious. I'm not going to go to the movie theaters to watch this unless Ann says we're going to.
You can borrow my physical media when I buy it.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that either, but I'm sure they will put it out. I'm sure whenever it comes to Disney Plus and Sony lets it play on there, I'm sure they'll include those scenes and I'll look forward to seeing them. But listen, I'm hearing people coming out of it saying they had a really good time, and that's the most important thing and the bottom line. So I'm glad you had such a good time with it. I am curious to see. I hear there's also like a different post-credit scene.
Yeah.
In it. So I am very curious to see all that kind of stuff. I'm glad you had a blast with it. Listen, man, again, thank you and our previous question. Thank you so much for supporting our channels on that level, man. It's incredibly generous that you do. And thank you for supporting the shows you like watching. We appreciate it very much. All right, what's next?
From Fanimator, what have you seen the most amount of times in theaters?
Oddly enough, Star Wars, The Phantom Menace.
Love Actually.
Empire Strikes Back.
There you go. I mean, and John, I thought you didn't. Yeah. The thing is, I was working in a visual effects company at the time, and we literally almost every day at lunch we would go and watch it because the visual effects in that were the most revolutionary. It was the single biggest step, I think, in visual effects in cinematic history.
Oh yeah.
And so, we would go like every day to watch that because we're like amazed at what they were able to do.
And the documentation of that in Lawrence Kasdan's new documentary Light and Magic is terrific.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really well done.
All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, I completely forgot the dude who plays Elrond in Rings of Power played young Ned Stark on Game of Thrones.
Oh, I did not realize
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, he is so good.
He's so good.
Because not
good.
only does
I love
he
him.
play it really well, I see the younger iteration of
Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving.
Just the little like smirk moments
Yes.
and things like that. His mannerisms are so much like his.
By the way, again, maybe it was because I was so soured by how disappointed I was in episode 1, but rewatching again that scene with him and Durin and meeting Durin's family and the whole conversation and everything about that is one of my favorite scenes of television in a while.
Wow.
I was just, my heart was smiling the whole time I watched that entire thing. I love that scene.
High praise.
All right, what's next?
From Jesse Rod. Hey crew, John, did you catch the most recent episode of Harley Quinn? Thoughts? I think it's my favorite episode so far. Gotta say, I'm glad they're getting season 4. Love you guys. Keep on the filthy.
It's not my favorite episode of Harley Quinn, but it was great. It's called Batman Begins Forever. And it is fantastic. Well, if you guys watched the previous episode, you know they capture Bruce Wayne. And they use Dr. Psycho returns. And they've done this before in the show where they all go into Bruce Wayne's mind just to try to find out where the plant is. Is it Fred? Is that the name of the plant? I can't remember the name of the plant they're looking for. But looking for Fred. So they're just trying to get info on that. And Harley ended up stuck in there by herself in Bruce's mind. And it's a really great episode. Again, kind of different from the other things they've done. Thoroughly enjoyed it. If you haven't started watching Harley Quinn, get on that. All right, what's next?
From Alex Mata, 1 of 2. I'll never forget my first time watching No Way Home. Saw it on a trip with my best friends to LA and attended the first screening at the Chinese Theater.
That's a great place to have a first screen. Did they get a second part in?
I do not see it.
All right. So first of all, if I always tell people that when people often write to me and say, hey, I'm going to come visit LA, what's like one of the first things I do? If you are a movie fan, you go to the Chinese Theater. If for no other reason than the historical significance.
Sure.
This is the place where Star Wars had its world premiere. I mean, one of my favorite movie-going experiences of my entire life was being at the world premiere of Star Wars The Force Awakens and sitting in the Chinese Theater, the now renovated Chinese Theater, but sitting in the Chinese Theater, waiting for the movie to start and feeling the history, knowing that 40 years ago, or however many years previous it was, 50 years ago, whatever, 40 something years ago, the first Star Wars movie was physically in this spot. This is where the world was. And it's just amazing. So getting to go to the Chinese Theater and watch any kind of movie in that place, just the history of it is awesome. I'm glad you had that experience.
Yeah, it's like the only touristy place I will ever direct a visitor to LA. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you the local spots, the cool spots, but the one touristy spot I'm gonna send you to is the Chinese Theater, and you have to see a movie in it.
And do not deviate from the theater. You only go to the theater.
Yeah. Down Hollywood down there, not a great place to hang out.
No.
Yeah, you don't want those rap CDs. You don't want to talk to superheroes.
No. All right, what's next?
From Comic Nizer. Hey, Chris, they just opened a Whataburger in Alabama, and it's amazing. The pepper sauce is from the gods. Yes, it is.
What is
my
Whataburger?
gosh. What a burger. Just like you like it. It is so good. How dare you, Jonathan? How dare you besmirch the good name of Whataburger? Whataburger. It's so good.
It's got to be better than frickin' In-N-Out.
It's delicious, and their sauces are great. You can get them in bulk at like the HEBs. They'll sell them there. I've got some students in Texas who'll send me care packages of my Buc-ee's jerky and my Whataburger sauces.
Very nice.
It's real good.
I thought he was talking about Wahlburger
No.
because they just opened a Wahlburger.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, at Morongo. There's a Wahlburger at the resort out there.
Aw.
Yeah, and apparently, like some of the brothers sometimes just show up there.
I
and they'll be in
loved
the
that
kitchen.
reality series so much.
I never did see
Oh my
it.
gosh, it was like watching my cousins. It was wonderful.
All right, what's next?
From Josh Molinari, Black Panther 2 and Avatar 2 ticket watch confirmed.
I think so. I think we'll have to do a ticket watch to see how they. I'll be honest with you. I think Avatar 2 sells more tickets. Right now, I think that. I still think there's going to be some drag on the Black Panther ticket sales, just because I think some people won't be as interested because, number one, you've lost your title actor and you've lost your title character. So that I think will dampen it a little bit. They're both going to be huge though. So yeah, I think maybe we'll keep an eye for Take a Watch. All right, what's next?
From Mike Joyce, Rob, I saw the director's cut of Wrath of Khan yesterday in theaters. It's been a while since I saw it. How is it different than the theatrical cut?
I didn't even know there was a director's cut.
Yeah, the director's cut adds a little bit more of Scotty's nephew, Peter Preston, Ike Eisenman's character. And there's just a little nip and tuck here. There's not a big difference. There's not like whole subplots like in The Abyss or really long character scenes like in the extended versions of Lord of the Rings. But I think it deepens the experience and makes it a little better. But if you're not, it's not essential. It is, by the way, John, released on 4K tomorrow in both the theatrical and the director's cut.
So I can't wait to not buy it. All right, what's next?
From Dr. Bright, have you ever seen Hans Zimmer perform live?
You know what?
Yes, I have.
Ooh.
It sucks. A friend of mine, Dorina, who some of you will know, Dorina, had gotten tickets for her husband Brennan, me, and Ann. And then I think it ended up that Ann and I had to go out of town, so we didn't go. So I had tickets once to go see Hans Zimmer live. I heard it's amazing, but I unfortunately never have.
You know, John, when we saw John Williams, I always forget hearing a symphonic concert in the Hollywood Bowl sounds incredible.
Oh my God, it sounds so good.
It sounds so good.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think in an outdoor venue like that it would. But it rolls up the hill, and man, does it sound good.
All right, what's next?
And then we're just ending with some support from Charlie Allison and Fredo. Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank you so much, guys and guys. That'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this show while you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so much for that support. I want to thank everybody in the room with me, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. We've got Chris Carr. Back there on the chat was Ray Ora. And, of course, running the show today, producer Jonathan Voico. And, of course, Taylor, who is helping him out. And my name's John Campea, guys. Don't forget, a little bit later today at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will be doing our Game of Thrones House of the Dragon after show. So make sure you come on back. We'll talk about all spoilery goodness. We're going to be taking your comments and questions as well. Hope you guys will come back and join us for that. And of course, come back and join us again tomorrow for the next installment of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, that'll do it for us for now. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, yada, 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 yada. Bye.